right, and a good morning to you. How are you? Happy post Mashujaa Day. We are glad that you're here with us. This is hashtag Go in the Morning. My good name is Brian Sako, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be here for you this Monday morning. It's literally the 21st of October, and we're just about 9 to around 8 days there towards the end of October. Then we move to November. The year is ending really fast, of course. There's a lot that has transpired for the better part of last week that is also said to have developments of this week. So be rest assured we'll be covering that for you as well. But before we move too further, we have an interesting show lined up for you today. On the first segment, we'll be talking about national heroes that we treasure and talk about them a lot, especially when it comes to the change and impact they've added to society from today and forever, especially when it comes to now also Mashujaa Day as of yesterday. I'm sure there's a lot of things that were notable, from the DP to the Kwale celebrations where the president and partially, somebody who's actually set to be the deputy as well. We'll talk about that and much more. The question is, youth heroes and heroines wamekuwa na impact gani kwa society? That is the question we are asking you on our social media. But then the first conversation of the day, we'll be talking about state of the nation. We are delving into matters, what's currently happening right now in the country. From the DP's ouster, last week he was impeached on Thursday. It was literally a big day. And then today being a Monday as well, we are covering that as well for the better part of tomorrow, of course, after the court issued a conservatory order to not allow the person who's now set to replace the DP, that is Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, to be sworn in. The court has issued conservatory orders barring him from being sworn in. So those are interesting developments as well that we'll be covering, and plus many other issues that are festering in our country room right now until the year ends. But before we actually introduce you to what's coming up, let's get through some of the top trending stories. And the first one include Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said yesterday in the briefing after he was discharged from Karen Hospital, he said senators should have waited for him. He insisted the senatorial trial was not time-bound, and in fact, he says it needed more time. According to what he expressed yesterday, he felt like it was a hurried process, and this is after he was impeached. He also says NIS, that is the National Intelligence Service, tried to poison him, and on 30th of August in Kisumu, and then as well in the recent event at Nyeri. And then his doctor, that's Dr. Dan Gikonyo, ordered him to take a hospital, what is it called? A hospital bed rest. And in a phone call, he said that his health was in danger. If he wouldn't have taken quick action, he said yesterday, they would have been talking a different story. And then on the other side, there's a story about President Ruto denouncing exclusionist, says every citizen deserves to be fully catered for, especially when it comes to matters devolution and receiving services that the government offers. And then yesterday we also saw Piers Hinga talking about the affordable housing project that the president has been vocal about. But then on the other side as well, we have seen the deputy president yesterday talk about how he feels like the housing project is overtaxing Kenyans and it's not something good. And then the Adani deal as well. And then the matters against still the deputy president developments as well, breaking his silence on X, talking about how his ouster has just come at such a difficult time when he's also battling health issues. He also said that he did not expect that this is what the current president, who is his former boss now, because he's now former, because he was impeached, until the court decides whether to reinstate his position or not. Well, away from that, CJ Kome mourns a Milimani magistrate, that is Zina Rashid. And then Lieutenant Colonel Faith Mwagandi, first female parade commander at the national event that happened yesterday at Kwale during the Mashujaa celebrations. And then President Ruto in Kwale for Mashujaa Day alongside Cabinet Secretary Interior, that is Kithure Kindiki. I think we can get to the details of that in just a bit before we introduce you to the feature of the day. So President Ruto flew to Mombasa ahead of the 61st Mashujaa Day celebration on Saturday, arriving in the coastal city shortly after 1 p.m. on the official presidential jet Harambe 1. That is the name of his jet he used yesterday. And he and the First Lady made their way to Kwale on Sunday morning on a presidential helicopter, where they were received by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kindiki and host Governor Fatuma Achani. The national celebrations came amid court contest over the transition in the office of the Deputy President following the impeachment of Mr. former now. It's really sad that we have to say former, Rigathi Gachagua, but you know what? That's what the Constitution says for now. So opinion was divided on the effect of the orders amid debate on whether a court order is turning National Assembly from considering Kithure Kindiki's nomination for Deputy President. This again has been overtaken by the court that has issued a conservatory order. The decision emerged after the National Assembly had concluded a session to consider Kindiki, an exercise that orders sought to halt. So National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula also gazetted the outcome of the process, paving way for Kindiki swearing in, and it was also unclear whether the Chief Justice would constitute additional benches as requested in two similar suites on Friday, given that a bench resulting from a request on a similar matter was already in place. Okay, those are the details of that. Now, the first female commander that was celebrated yesterday, that is Lieutenant Colonel Faith Mwangandi, becomes the first female senior officer to lead a military guard of honor. The Kenya Defence Forces announced the notable highlight as the country marked Mashujaa Day celebrations on Sunday. Quote unquote, this is what they said. Lieutenant Colonel Mwagandi's trailblazing career began when she joined the KDF in 2007 and made history as the female warship commander in East Africa, taking command of the Kenyan Navy ship, the KNS Shujaa, from 2019. That's part of her honoris. Her journey in the force began in 2007 when she joined the Kenya Military Academy at Lanet. And over time, she attained a diploma in military service and would later, after attaining another degree from Egerton University. Notably, the coastal native became the first woman to command a warship in Kenya. She currently serves as Staff Officer Category 1 SO1 in charge of personnel and administration at the Kenya Navy. Her extensive experience includes training the Britannia Royal Naval College in the UK and serving on various Kenya Navy vessels such as KNS Galana, KNS Shupavu, KNS Shujaa. She also contributed significantly as an instructor at the Kenya Navy Training School and as a navigating officer on RV Mtafiti. She served as a principal warfare officer during a critical voyage to the Netherlands for the midlife refit at KNS Shujaa. So she was honored as the first commander to lead the parade yesterday at the national event. Now, President Ruto being received by Kithure Kindiki, that is now, I don't know if he's soon to be ex-cabinet secretary, but you know what, the court is going to decide. That's another, interesting story that you'll be following up for the better part of this week. But now, on Deputy President's health status, he says that after he was discharged yesterday from Karen Hospital. He was admitted on Thursday, of course, the same day that he was impeached at the National Assembly after failing to appear before the Senate for cross-examination. And quote unquote, he said if he had been let by just another 20 minutes, definitely, absolutely, we'll be talking of a different story, because he says his health was at stake and he needed to take that break. He also confirmed that he is now in stable condition and that the doctor had approved his discharge. The news conference marked Gachagua's first public appearance since his unprecedented non-appearance in Senate on Thursday, the final day of his trial. Now, on matters about his senatorial trial, he says he faced 11 charges, all of which he denied when the trial began on Wednesday. Ultimately, senators upheld 5 of the charges against him, and his lawyers requested a postponement until October 22nd, but the Senate opted to proceed, prompting protests from Gachagua's legal team as they prepared to file a legal challenge. And lead counsel Paul Mwite insisted that Gachagua had not chosen to skip the proceeding but was incapacitated by an illness that attacked him all of a sudden, urging the Senate to act fairly. But Senate, however, went on to continue with the trial, prompting to lead a walkout of part of Gachagua's legal team, citing the absence of further instructions from the client. Senate Speaker Amason Kingi subsequently gazetted the resolution to impeach Gachagua, with the National Assembly consequently voting to approve the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki's nomination to the position. Beg your pardon. Thereafter, Patrick Mwangi, Principal Administrative Secretary in the Office of the Deputy President, directed staff on contract to proceed on compulsory leave, along with senior advisors that have been working for DP Rigathi Gachagua. Those are some of the developments as well that continue to unfold in his impeachment. Well, part of what the president said yesterday in his address at Kwale during Mashujaa Day celebration, he says, every citizen is a full equal member of the political community, and termed exclusionist approaches as untenable. Speaking during the Mashujaa Day celebrations in Kwale County, the president emphasized that any formula seeking to exclude, alienate, or disenfranchise any person or group or community for any reason is repugnant to the very essence of the nationhood. And quote unquote, in his speech he said, "We are one people and Kenya is one united, indivisible, sovereign nation," Ruto said, an apparent reference to Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached as deputy president on Thursday. The president further highlighted the foremost attributes of the first generations of freedom fighters who faced the monster of imperial domination with unflinching courage and commitment, willing to prevail even if it cost them everything, including their lives. And quote unquote, "From them, we have learned that to be free, we must be united as one family, drawing strength from the unique contributions of its diverse members who must see each other as equals, treat each other justly, and leave no one behind." The president also encouraged Kenyans to uphold the value principles and commitments that define Shujaa, or heroism, to break free from the oppression, humiliation, poverty, indignity, just as the country's forebearers did. And then part of the people that were honored, I believe this can also contribute to the conversation we're going to have today, include Mekatilili Wamenza. He championed Article 10 of the Kenyan Constitution in the President's address. He mentioned that, which outlines how to be a Shujaa in your own way. He also acknowledged Mekatilili Wamenza's selflessness in fighting for independence. And quote unquote, he said, "In confronting colonialism, Mekatilili Wamenza did not seek to free her village or region from occupation by another community. Instead, she insisted that the structures and institutions of an exploitative and tyrannical system, knowing that defeating it would be free of the entire nation." He also recognized the same spirit in other freedom fighters such as Otenyo Nyamantere and Mora Niti from Kisii, Wanameme Masinde in Bungoma, Oigo Paula Ngwech, Oyuko Phoebe Mbio in Kisumu, Igoki Teresia Kiambu Meru, Kalondu Mutheka Mbalu in Makueni. These freedom fighters were inspired by enduring universal principles and values that have transcended generations and remain with us today. And he quote unquote said, "Unity, sharing, integrity, courage, determination, and patriotism are our sources of strength in the face of difficult, risk, and danger." And that's why today we are a modern competitive economy and a devolved democratic society with our freedom that has provided us with the space to grow and perfect our nationhood, sustaining the spirit of freedom as we evolve from the monopoly of our liberation movement into a dynamic, pluralistic society where competition makes us stronger. That was part of President Ruto's speech yesterday during the Mashujaa Day celebration. And then down there it talks about reception of Deputy President by Kindiki. Rather, President, not Deputy. Right now we don't have a Deputy President. Right, there's some of the trending stories as well that are making headlines. Let me get to part of his interview that he did yesterday. He talked about him not being safe. He's urged the president to leave him alone, despite the fact that his security as well has already been withdrawn, and part of his staff being forced to take compulsory leave. This means that they're out of employment. And he said, "I do not feel safe." And he says, on 30th of August in Kisumu, undercover security agents entered his room, bagged it, and one of them tried to poison his food, but his team detected it. So this is some of the interesting, details that are developing yesterday. But as well, there are many other events that transpired yesterday at Uhuru Park. There was a standoff between police and protesters, and Again, we saw activists who are being arrested. We also saw a building that collapsed at Kahawa West. And this comes again as a backdrop of, again, of so many issues regarding insecurity and then building on illegal land. And then there's also a light moment yesterday where the president was dancing to Angukanayo by Douglas. Of course, Angukanayo became an anthem during the Gen Z protests that led to them breaking into parliament on 25th of June. So that was some of the light moments, including entertainment performances that were captured yesterday. On social media, X and also Twitter, X rather, and Instagram, Meta at large, activist Eric Omondi shared of there was an insinuation that he was abducted, but then he later on posted he was covered in a hijab, so he tried to disguise himself to avoid being arrested by police. And this again comes after one person was shot dead, not dead, was shot and injured by police. That's according to activist Boniface Mwangi. He says they were trying to actually honor the Gen Zs who died while breaking into parliament, where they were shot live. They were shot by live ammunition by police as they were trying to, advocate for removal of the 2024 finance bill, the hotly contested that was later on withdrawn by the president. But then on the other side, Deputy President impeached, or now soon to be former, or soon to be reinstated Deputy President, says his only crime is being truthful to President Ruto. And he talked about evictions that have been happening in the country, and he says he urged the president to not evict people beg your pardon, without compensation. He also asked the president to not overtax people, to not force housing programs on people, and that he says he's the only man in the whole government who can stand up to the president and tell him it's not right. But then he also said the president has not been listening, and if he tries to advise him, he was asked again to sign, was it an NDA? Is it an NDA or non-disclosure agreement? Or I don't know, there's a specific word that the deputy president used, that he also feels like the current soon-to-be as well deputy president, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, will also sign, because he feels like the president does not listen to anyone but only takes his own orders. And then on the other side as well, we had activist Morara Kebaso, who shared on his social media platforms. He was attacked in Nakuru or Narok while trying to do his usual episode of Vampire Diaries. And then on this other side, then he urged Kenyans if they will support him, but there's half wishy-washy feedback. There's others who are saying he doesn't need to be supported because they feel like, he's received a lot of support from them. But then others are saying he was bought by government. There's a lot of mix-up when it comes to the president's deputy president removal's public participation that happened at Bomas, plus many other areas of this country. Yesterday at Uhuru Park, police used tear gas on youth who attempted to access Uhuru Park, which remains largely blocked off ahead of a rally organized by Eric Omondi and other activists, including Boniface Mwangi. And quote unquote, this is what Boniface shared on his social media. He says, "Good morning from Uhuru Park. We have been stopped from accessing Uhuru Park. The dictator is so scared that he won't allow Kenyans to gather and remember those he murdered. He has deployed police officers, and I was told we are not allowed in there. I was with my wife and children, then the police officers and county employees manning the gates said that they are simply following orders. A park named Freedom, but there is no freedom in Kenya today. Our forefathers didn't fight and die for freedom so that one insecure, corrupt individual could lord us." I don't want to read the last part is a little bit, not TV friendly. But anyways, he is trying to say that, freedoms have been restricted, even the Article 37. Remember, there was a member of parliament, I think he's George Ruku. Yeah, he's from Mbere, yeah? In fact, they've issued a directive that no one will be picketing at the CBD. So if you be found picketing or demonstrating at the CBD, you'll be arrested and sent back to where you came from, or to jail, because, they don't want. In fact, the people are saying, from the reactions online on X, netizens are saying if there's a place that they need to be picketing at is at the CBD. That's where they'll be seen and heard. But then, away from that, the arrests continue, the abductions continue, in as much as the president has been steadfast and he said that no abductions will be happening, no extrajudicial killings and whatnot. And then a multi-story building with residential and business units in Kahawa West collapsed. Several families feared trapped inside. This again comes after a directive from the county government and then eviction as well, with a multi-agency response team currently responding to a building collapse in Kahawa West, Nairobi County, where several people are feared dead. This is according to a report by the Red Cross. So many other developments of that we're following up for the better part of today as we continue to capture the details for you, as we also continue to cover the developments of the impeachment. Now, still matters in court. Chief Justice Kome Mons Milimani Magistrate Zina Rashid. She was a magistrate at the Milimani Commercial Court, battling a long illness, according to Kome. She was singled out as Jalenga's commitment to justice in brief, and also in a condolence note, quote unquote. This is what Chief Justice Martha Kome said. During her service in the judiciary, Honorable Rashid exhibited firm commitment to the cause of justice and the rule of law, working diligently and in keeping with the values of the Constitution in service to our nation. This again comes after as well the court issued conservatory orders against the ouster of impeachment of our current, soon to be former, soon once again to be reinstated Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And this is just some of the trending stories as they continue to unfold right here. Now, yesterday there's counties that celebrated Mashujaa Day, but in Nyeri there's a little bit of crickets or silence, and from the reactions that were expressed in some of the media briefings that were shared is that they feel betrayed. There's one of the residents or netizens who expressed and said that, you know what, they're really shocked that this is what the man that they supported and voted for him. Of course, it has been about the Murima for quite some time now, but you know what, it ended up badly. So they're contesting and they feel sad that yesterday they couldn't even celebrate Mashujaa Day. In fact, when one of their leaders got to the platform to read a speech directed and written by the president, most of them left the scene because they felt betrayed. Now, in Kisumu, insecurity within the lakeside city of Kisumu took center stage during the Mashujaa Day celebrations, with the national administration in the area vowing to have a decisive response to the situation. The County Commissioner Benson Lepamorijo and the Deputy Governor Matthews Owili used the occasion to brief residents on the security situation in the county. They stated that officers remain vigilant as the county continues to combat the gang menace terrorizing residents. He confirmed that a key suspect is still undergoing treatment after being shot and will be arraigned in court once discharged. And the county commissioner also noted that the arrests have been made and the police are pursuing further leads to bring perpetrators to justice. He announced that they have identified 12 suspects who will either be summoned for arrest for further questioning. Some of the suspects whose names were provided by the public are known to the police. And speaking on behalf of Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, who as well has been, out of the picture, his remarks came just hours after a businessman who runs a chain of chemists in Kisumu was attacked this morning and left with serious injuries. The businessman is currently admitted at Avenue Hospital as the leader of Appeal for Locals volunteer to continue working with the police for swift action. So this was came again as a backdrop of celebrations of Mashujaa Day that happened yesterday at Kwale, led by Governor Fatma Achani. But on the question of today, we are asking you, what are some of the heroes that you endearingly and dearly hold on to in terms of history? I've just pointed out to you a while ago about Mekatilili Omenza and how she fought for freedom of her people. And then yesterday, among the briefings that were done by the media outlets, I think what activist Boniface Mwangi shared, he talked about the Gen Zs who have died And I saw Nerima Wako. Is it Nerima Owako, Nerima Wako from Siasa Place saying that, you know what, the 61 plus Gen Zs who died should be celebrated as they should just. But then of course, you know, it came again as a backdrop of them, you know, being arrested. One of them was shot by police. They're saying he's in hospital recuperating. That's according to activist Boniface Mwangi. And I think away from that, there's so many other developments, including as well security details regarding, you know, Morara Kebanso, who says as well he feels like his life is in danger. He's called on netizens to support him. There's an update about Governor Sakaja, who is also supposed to be part of the Deputy President's hearing at Senate on Thursday last week, but he eventually ended up not turning up. But then on his social media, he issued a directive of people should not gather at, you know, Uhuru Park. And then yesterday it was a dramatic day as there was arrests being made left, right, and center as people tried to, you know, protest and seek justice. And those are just part of the trending stories. Lastly, before we exit, I don't know if you guys noticed on Matters Tech, before we actually take a short break, Elon Musk launched his Tesla Optimus, and he said that it's set to literally replace, you know, human force or human labor as towards, you know, end of 2024 as we begin 2025. 2025 is just 2 months away. So they're saying that the robots they'll be doing activities, so they'll be able to actually help you complete tasks like babysitting. But then, beg your pardon, there's somebody who asked, why should I leave my child with a robot? He doesn't know how to breastfeed. He doesn't know the foods that my child wants. And then there's somebody who argued and said, what if it runs out of battery? And just in case, you know, the power runs out and maybe it was in the middle of, you know, holding that little goba, what will happen to the child? But then Elon Musk was steadfast and said, you know, the robots will be cheaper. He said they are ranging between $20,000 US dollars to $30,000 US dollars, but the price is set to depreciate to less than that. So he's asked people to embrace, you know, using Optimus robots. They're called humanoids as of 2025. Many inventions. But then this comes again as there's a Chinese company that also launched their robots. They're saying, you know, 2025 is a year when a lot of human beings are going to, you know, be using a lot of machines. And then this again comes again as a backdrop of him, you know, launching the Tesla SpaceX craft that went into space, and then it was captured mid-air on its way back. They equated that distance to to a story building that has 19 floors. So that's quite a huge distance if you were to literally do that. Go to the tallest building right here and go up to 19th floor. That's how they managed to capture that Tesla spacecraft, yeah, by Elon Musk. And then there's developments of what is happening at Mama Lucy Hospital. Up to 3 lactating mothers were forced to share one bed at the hospital despite each of them being charged for full bed cost. Those unable to secure beds spent the entire night on the floor with their newborns without a mattress, and other mothers also opted to brave the night sitting to allow the newborns to sleep on the beds. This is literally a deplorable condition and situation that's currently happening at Mama Lucy Hospital, where, you know, there's no enough capacity to hold lactating mothers as well as mothers who have given birth, and even those that are going there as well to go through the delivery process. No enough doctors, no enough equipment. Remember, during the Deputy President's address yesterday, he said, you know, part of health equipment were given to an Indian, you know, organization, depriving and denying Kenyans, you know, health, you know, services. Another unfortunate event as well. So this again comes against after, I think at some point we had Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja trying to, you know, say that he gave help, he issued directive to have, you know, the hospital given a facelift, but till right now the situation is really deplorable and horrible. So this is just part of this stories that continue to unfold. But now let's shock you a little bit. So if you are a big consumer of the Hustler Fund, Parliament is looking for you right now as we speak. So Parliament is currently seeking details of all the Hustler Fund loan defaulters, their names and the amounts that they owe. So if you took the Hustler Fund, you are in trouble, because I remember that is MSME, SMEs Cabinet Secretary for SMEs and MSMEs, that is former Governor Kakamega Oparanya. He said they are going to literally, find a way of punishing the defaulters. But then there's somebody who said, what if you only borrowed 500 bob? Why should you be punished? But then also the question is, you took the money, can you pay it back? I think that's what they say in Swahili. Kuchukua deni ni harusi, kulipa ni matanga. But then they say, pay the debt, literally, if you took it. So Parliamentary Special Funds Accounts Committee is now seeking to be furnished with details of all Kenyans owing the Hustler Fund, and these details include the names of the defaulters and the amounts they have refused to pay. And they are saying if you took it, let's say for the last, we are almost ending the year. It's literally a month and a half away, but then it's 2 months, yeah? So if you took it, let's say by May, April, there, March, towards the beginning of the year, and you've not paid till right now, it means that you've defaulted. So what are they going to do? They're going to trace your CRB, your credit details, and they will list you as a defaulter. That means that you'll not be able to borrow any other money or access any other funding from any other lending organization. And I think that's a little bit, hard pinching for Kenyans. So the committee has made recommendations to the management of the Finance Inclusion Fund, that's the FIF, which oversees the operation of the Hustler Fund, and in bid to cover and also recover at least 7 billion Kenya shillings that is owed to the fund by more than 13 million Kenyans. So 13 million Kenyans borrowed money from the Hustler Fund. The amount Kenyans owe the fund translates to a 78% default rate. That's according to FIF. And then Hustler Fund's acting CEO Elizabeth Ntaku says they are determined to recover these amounts by exploring as many recovery avenues as possible, including making a forceful visit and deductions directly to your M-Pesa. And quote unquote, they added, this is still under deliberation as we work towards securing necessary legal provisions. But there's one of the bank institution or financial institutions that has made it automatic. If you borrowed anything from them, like once you receive, including 1,000 bob to the list, like why should a bank literally, for real, deduct you 1,000 bob? If you borrowed, let's say if you borrowed 10,000 and maybe you've gone for like 2 months, because sometimes when these banks are giving you money, they always give you a grace period. So maybe they can give you a grace period of 1.5, and then they start giving you warnings, and then they start sending you to auctioneers, and then they now have come up with a means of deducting. Like if you have an ID number that has registered any line in your name, they are tracing it to your M-Pesa. So tough times for Kenyans as we brace for what's going to come next. Okay? All right, I think those are some of the top trending stories that you deserve to understand and know. Well, this other one is a detail about the revamped Kwale Stadium that was used yesterday during the Mashujaa Day celebration, led by Kwale Governor, that is Fatma Achani. And of course, the Deputy President, former now, was not in the picture, but in his address, he said he was barred from even using Wilson Airport, barred from boarding any copter or chopper. So he was grounded. He was grounded. So this is some of the interesting stories as well that continue to unfold. But then lastly, I keep on saying lastly before you go to the commercial break and then get to the feature and then come back with the conversation of the day. So former Health Cabinet Secretary, that is Suzanne Nahomiche, she says that she's now finding it difficult to be out there. Of course, she was Health Cabinet Secretary, and quote unquote, this is what she said in that address. She said, please pray for me. You know it's not easy having been a minister, then all of a sudden you're just Nahomiche. And you know my name is unique, okay? Just at the mention of Nahomiche, someone just shows and knows that it's a woman who is a cabinet secretary for health. It's difficult, but I hope for the best. So in short, she is asking to be supported. But then the comments, let me just get to some of the reactions a little bit because this was interesting. Another person said, cut her some slack, woman. Oh, I can't read that other part. It's not PG friendly and TV friendly. or editorial, yeah. Another one said, Nani Akombe, Kunde Misheveve in peace. By the way, the Misheveve has been trending for the better part. Also one of my favorite veg. Another one said, Woye sa utadunini mam. Okay. Another one says, now we good. We solve the prayers for something worth. Let's even pray for Igade. Okay, you guys are savage out here. Another one said, where has she posted this? Okay. The comments are really savage. I just don't want to get to them all. They're not TV friendly and editorial. But anyways, yeah. Let me just remind you of the question of the day and what we'll be discussing towards 9 a.m. But the first conversation about State of the Nation is coming up in just a bit. We are asking you about impact of national heroes in society, from Dedan Kimathi to Mekatili Wamenza to the Gen Zs. I don't know if you consider the Gen Zs of 25th of June who were shot dead by police as, you know, Mashujaz or Shujaz. And also, who is that one person you consider a Shuja in your own personal life? I'd like to hear from you. Could be your mother, could be your dad, could be your uncle, could be that person who is supportive of you, or it could be yourself because of the things you've been through. Because life is organic, bruv. We keep on fighting each and every day. Who is that one Shuja that you'd say has made an impact to your life? That is the question we're asking you right here, okay? And coming up in just a bit is a conversation about State of the Nation. I'll be picking up the conversation. Stephanie is not in today. It's a holiday, of course, but I'm here to represent everyone. So the conversation about State of the Nation is coming up in just a bit. Matters, politics and current affairs and what's making headlines everywhere. The question is already on X, Instagram, and the rest of the Meta platforms about national heroes. So keep on sending your feedback. You can check me out as well at Brian Sanko 101 at Y244 channel _ on the gram. Let's take a very short break. In fact, it's like 11 minutes. Then we come back with our guests who are already live in studio in just a bit. See you on the other side.
Y254. Imagine.
Comando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi. Unatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Unasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Tenrelbi. Wagwang. My name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. You can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nini.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatumia mikosi, tunalindwa na sabuni pekee.
254. Imagine. Affordable housing programs are crucial initiatives aimed at providing housing options that are manageable for individuals and families with low to moderate incomes. They seek to tackle housing shortages, mitigate homelessness, and ensure equal access to safe and adequate living conditions.
Wewe ndio plumber?
Mimi nafanya plumbing.
Yeah. Okay.
Na
Umefanya hapa siku ngapi sasa?
Hapa? Nimefanya karibu siku 4.
Yeah. Kazi ya kupanga mambo ya plumbing.
Maji, pipe. Yeah.
Uko na unafanya na guesswork ama unafanya na drawing?
Uko na drawing. Yeah, hawezi fanya guesswork. Uko na drawing tunafanya na.
Lazima unafanya na drawing.
Yeah.
Very good.
The Kenya Kwanza government has prioritized affordable housing as a key component of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. This initiative seeks to provide affordable housing for low and middle-income Kenyans, aligning with the broader goal of economic inclusivity and social equity. Article 43 of the Kenya Constitution guarantees social rights for all citizens, including the right to accessible and adequate housing. This constitutional mandate underpins our government's commitment to bridging the gap, ensuring that every Kenyan can access safe living conditions. The Kibra Soweto B4 Social Housing Project is a transformative initiative located in Africa's largest informal settlement, Kibra, Nairobi, set to be completed by January 2026. It will deliver 4,054 housing units designed to improve living conditions for families. The housing units will be available under a tenant purchase scheme with monthly payments starting with at as low as 2,400 Kenya shillings for a one-bedroom apartment. Two-bedroom apartment will require a payment of 4,600 Kenya shillings, while three-bedroom unit will cost 6,500 Kenya shillings per month. All payments will attract an interest rate of 3%. The construction of affordable housing units has created approximately 160,000 jobs, benefiting a variety of professions from construction workers to artisans, with local residents directly employed on sites. This initiative has played a significant role in reducing unemployment and improving the livelihoods of many Kenyans. Maurice Ouko Oyugi and Mary Wambo have experienced transformative changes in their lives due to the housing project, which has not only improved their living standards but also provided valuable learning opportunities.
Tulipewa opportunity, first priority wase wa hii area ndo walipewa, na mimi kama mtu nilikuwa naishi kwa hii area initially, mimi ni beneficiary. Kuna wale vijana wetu ambao walisomea vitu tofauti. In fact, sahi this their first employment because mradi iko mtaa. For example, najipea example na mimi personally nilifanya course ya site safety, construction safety and health. So venye mradi ilianza nikaleta mapepa zangu, nikawa na additional advantage the fact that naishi area, nikachukuliwa. So na work hapa kama site safety.
Nikikuja kwa site nilianza na kazi ya kubeba mawe. Nilikuwa nabeba mawe na nikiambiwa kazi yenye imebaki ni ya kubeba mawe, nilisikia vibaya, lakini nikasema juu nikienda kwa nyumba naenda kukaa, acha nipambane na hii mawe. Ukuja day one nilijikuta nimebeba na nimeshinda hata wanaume wengine, nikajua kumbe naweza make it. Mawe zenye nilibeba first day si zenye nilibeba second day, nilienda nikiimprove nikiongezea.
Maureen Adisa, a dedicated community chairlady and active worker at the construction site, has observed firsthand the positive impact of the housing projects on the local community, particularly among women, same sentiments shared by Mary Wambo.
Mimi kama hapa kwa mjengo, naweza encourage madem wafanye kitu wenye wanaume wanafanya.
because usipofanya kitu yenye wanaume wanafanya, ukienda kutafuta kazi ya mademu utapata kazi ya mademu. Kuja ufanye kazi yenye mwanaume anafanya. Kuna si kazi mzito, utafuta tu kazi ile rahisi ile yenye wanaume anafanya, because inasemekana what a man can do a woman can do better. So mimi hata ndani yangu, ndani yetu ama viongozi wenye tuko wanaume, wako wanaume, unapata mimi ndio mwanamke, saa zingine ndio niko na kipao ya juu na mimi ndio ninaongea sana. So hapa kwa site kuna wamama wenye ninahakikishanga lazima wapate kazi. Kuna ma single mother, kuna wale wamama wajane, ninahakikishanga wanapata kazi. Na hapa kazi ni mzuri kwa sababu hauwezi maliza mwezi kama hata hujalipa nyumba. So mimi inafurahia ni wamama wenzangu ama mademu wenzangu wakifanya job kwa mjengo, ile job yenyewe hakuna mtu alikuwa na expect mwanamke ndiye anaweza fanya. Mademu kuinje wanaogopa mjengo, juu wanaona mjengo nikaa kuja kubeba mawe, kuja kubeba mchanga. Hapana, kuja uchague kwa mjengo kazi unaweza fanya. Ufanye kwa mtu kama mtu wa mkono. The more unafanya kama mtu wa mkono, huyo mtu mwenye anafanya kama fundi akufundishe ukae ukijua. Then unakuja unapata unatoka hapa na ujuzi mingi sana. So kama mimi sasa niko na ujuzi yenye sikuwa expect ndakuwa nayo. Mimi naweza koroga, mimi naweza funga chuma. Hizi ni vitu nimesomea hapa. Hata kama sina cheti, lakini ni kitu, hata nikitoka hapa siwezi kosa job. Hata kama siwezi fanya kazi yenye mademu wanafanya, hata nikienda siku nyingine kwa site nyingine nitafanya job. Na si mimi peke yangu. Kisha hii nini imesaidia, kuna merry-go-round ya wamama. Ukilipwa Saturday, juu kila siku unalipwa unapewa Saturday yako. Ukipewa Saturday, unatoa kidogo, tunaingia kwa chama, tunatoa merry-go-round. Unapata kwa merry-go-round umenunua kitu ulikuwa unatamani kwa nyumba yako, umelipa school fees, ama umenunua kitu ya maana kwa nyumba ama kwa boma yenu.
Nazoambia wajitume, juu hata mimi mwanzo nilishtuka, but nikasema juu niko mtaa na sina anything na sitaomba, better nijitume. Nazoambia wakuja wafanye kazi. Si ngumu vile wanafikiria, ukizoea hata ni easy sana.
Maureen Adisa, Mary Wambo, and Maurice Ouko Oyugi shared a collective vision that transcends their current role at the construction site. Their dreams are deeply rooted in the hope that the houses that they are helping to build will transform their lives and the lives of their families.
Hii mradi kivyangu imenisaidia kwa sababu next nakuja kuishi nyumba ya mawe yenye na own mimi mwenyewe, nitasave, na bado tunaendelea na kujenga zingine, kumaanisha kazi bado tunaendelea kuchapa ishi sahi. No, wakibomoa next huku bado tunaenda tufanye huko kazi na kazi itapunguka. Imenisaidia sana kwa sababu siko penye nilikuwa.
Imenisaidia kwa sababu naweza nikalipa vitu zangu, like naweza nikalipa mahitaji, naweza save ka kitu. Of course hapa tunafanya saving, bado hii kazi inanisaidia kwa sababu nyumba niliambiwa ni save kuja nipate nyumba. So ile ndo napata hapa ndo tena natumia kusave, ndo siku moja nikuja nipate nyumba. So imenisaidia pamoja na familia yangu.
The housing program not only benefits the construction workers, but also supports nearby businesses. Anita Mwendwa works at a local hotel close to the construction site, where many workers often go for their meals. This has provided her with a job, allowing her to earn an income to support her family.
Mimi ni mfanyikazi, nimeajiriwa. Mimi nafanya kupika. Kuna mchele, kuna ugali, kuna chai, kuna maharagwe. Mimi nikipika, ikifika jioni na pewa mshahara yangu, inanisaidia kwa kulipa rent, kubai chakula na kulipa school fees.
The affordable housing program remains a cornerstone of President Ruto's development agenda aimed at addressing the housing shortage in Kenya while driving job creation and economic growth. The housing program not only supports the construction workers, but also fosters community resilience and economic growth. Together, we are building a brighter future for all Kenyans.
Na kabla ya mwisho wa mwaka huu, before the end of this year, kabla ya mwisho wa mwaka huu, mutaziona zile nyumba nilianzisha mwaka uliopita kwa sababu nyingi zimeanza kuwa tayari. If seeing is believing, you will begin to see, so that you can believe that we are serious on the housing plan. Our intention is at least in the next 5 years, we must create 1 million new home owners in Kenya. People who have a place to call home that we have facilitated. Apart from creating jobs, we create decent livelihoods for our people.
Makao bora, maisha bora.
Makao bora, maisha bora.
Makao bora, maisha bora.
Y254. Imagine.
Katika maeneo ya miji yetu, mabadiliko yanaendelea kutekelezwa. Mabadiliko yanayolenga kumpa kila mwananchi mahala pa kuita nyumbani, penye heshima na utu. Makao ya heshima sio tu muundo wake, bali pia ni mazingira bora ambamo familia zinaweza kustawi na kulea watoto kwa usalama. Mikakati ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu itahakikisha kuwa kila mtu, bila kujali mapato yake, anaweza kuishi kwenye nyumba bora.
We have 1,410 slums in Kenya. We need to get rid of them. It's doable, it is feasible, we must get it done.
Miradi ya kuboresha mitaa duni kote nchini imefanya matumaini kuwa halisi. Maeneo ambayo hapo awali yalikuwa na msongamano mkubwa wa watu, ukosefu wa usalama na yasiyo safi, sasa yanabadilika taratibu na kuwa ya kuvutia na yenye ustawi.
Hapo kitambo maendeleo yote yalielekezwa katika sehemu ambazo ni za kule juu, sehemu za mlimani, sehemu za kuelekea Nairobi. Huu ndio umekuwa mradi wa kwanza ambao ni Capital Investment Project ambao imefanywa karibu na sisi wakazi wa sehemu za chini. Kwa hivyo tunajivunia, umeleta sura mpya na majirani pia wamekuja wapya. Mazingara pia umechangia katika kuangalia mambo ya changamoto za hali anga.
Mradi huu utainua kiwango cha mji. Vile watu walivyokuwa wameuzoea kama tu ni mji wa wasafiri, angalau sasa mji wetu wa Voi utaanza kujulikana zaidi kuliko vile ulivyokuwa unajulikana kama mji wa kitambo. Kutoka hapa Voi, makao bora, maisha bora.
Kupitia mpango huu wa ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu, serikali inapunguza kwa kiwango kikubwa idadi ya watu wanaoishi kwenye mazingira duni. Juhudi hizi zimepunguza changamoto za kijamii na kimazingira zinazohusiana na mitaa ya mabanda kama vile uhalifu na hatari mbalimbali za kiafya. Bila shaka, miradi ya makazi ya bei nafuu ni kichocheo cha ukuaji wa uchumi. Mikakati hii imebuni maelfu ya nafasi za kazi kuanzia sekta ya ujenzi hadi wasambazaji wa bidhaa zinazotumika katika ujenzi huu na hivyo kukuza biashara ndogo ndogo.
We are able to employ close to 145,000. Each unit is employing between 3 to 8, both the unskilled and skilled workers and professionals. We also doing skills transfer.
It is a very positive project. It has created massive employment around here. On this site we expect at least 1,500 people when we are working maximum.
Sikuwa na mahali nilikuwa nafanya kazi, sasa nimepata mkate wa kila siku. Kitu ya pili imenisaidia, nimeanzia project yangu binafsi huko nyumbani. Nimeweza kuweka mtu mmoja pia anifanyie kazi. So sasa hapo tunaendelea kuinuka kijamii.
Hakuna ile limit ya miaka ati utasema mtu fulani huyu wako over 60 ameretire haizi fanya kazi. Tunafanya kazi na all ages. People living with disability wamepata opportunity ya kufanya kazi, vijana na wasichana.
Napokuwa nimetoka kwa hiyo nafasi ya walimu, nikapata hiyo site ya affordable house. Hii story za kichaka, hiyo story za mali ikanitoka kwangu. Nikawa sasa niko kazini.
I am from here and I work as a porter, carrying loads. I want to ask something, boss. The work is good and I want to do more, but the challenge is that the payment is too little. 400 is too low, but 600 would be better. And I'll work more.
Mimi ni msingle mother. Kwa hii project nauzanga chakula. Hii kazi ndio nalipa nyumba na nalishia watoto wangu.
Hizi affordable ina manufaa, ina faida. Wacha watu kuongelea na huko nje. Hii kazi hata ile watu hata saa hii inalisha. Hata maboma nyingi hata zilikuwa na shida mingi sana hapa. Mtu asubuhi alikuwa chai yake ni kanywaji. Wamewacha hiyo sababu kuna sheria za kazi.
Aidha, ujenzi wa nyumba hizi umeongeza mahitaji ya bidhaa za ujenzi, wafanyakazi wenye ujuzi, utoaji wa huduma mbalimbali na hivyo kuleta mabadiliko bora ya kiuchumi.
We have enough clinker. Today Kenya will save more than $200 million by not importing the clinker. Any industrialist should not have the motive to make more money only, but also look how you can support the wananchi by providing the affordable price, cement and steel, so that they can afford to build the house.
Taasisi za kiufundi nazo hazijaachwa nyuma. Mamlaka ya kitaifa ya utoaji mafunzo ya viwandani yani NITA imeshirikiana na vyuo vya mafunzo anuai na kiufundi yani TVET kuthibitisha ujuzi wa wafanyakazi katika mpango huu wa ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu.
In TVET, we do not talk theories because we want to train people to do. We want to make sure they have the skills. So the president's idea of having this affordable housing is a beautiful idea, not only as training grounds for me, but also as a job opportunities, kwa sababu we are training masons, painters, plumbers, mention them. So when you walk at the affordable housing site, you will find the people we have trained or we are training.
Nafanya course ya plumbing. Hapa nimekuja internship. Nimepata ujuzi mwingi sana. Naweza ekea mtu pipes, breakages, repairs, naweza fanya hizo zote.
That's the experience tumepata hapa is unajua class tunasoma mostly ni theory work. Basa hii vitu ziko kwa ground, vitu ni different.
Interpreting the engineering plans, the structural and the drawings, it's not been easy for most of us because when in school we used to do theory, but here now we can do the practical work with much ease.
Sikuwa na certificate yoyote ya kuonyeshana mimi ni mfundi. NITA wakakuja hapo wakatufanya interview ya kujenga mawe, ya kukoroga, ya plasta, hata pia ya mbao.
NITA walikuja, nilifanya mtihani ya grade 3. So kwenye project inasonga pia naenda nikielewa tu nifanye grade 2 na grade 1.
Mimi nilikuwa sina ujuzi wowote. Lakini kutoka nije hapa nimepata ujuzi na kujenga mawe. Sasa upande wa mason nimepata ujuzi mwingi.
Ushirikiano huu unahakikisha kuwa wafanyakazi wa sekta ya jua kali wanatambuliwa rasmi kutokana na ujuzi wao na hivyo kuongeza nafasi yao ya kupata ajira katika sekta ya ujenzi.
Mambo ya affordable housing ilipoanza, sisi kama wana jua kali wa Embu, sana sana wale welders tulijikusanya pamoja. Ikawa sasa tuifanye kama group na tumeifanya kwa hizi kazi ambayo ilikuwa milango 210 na madirisha 460. Tumezifanya sote kama kikundi. Kazi yenyewe imetusaidia kwa sababu hapa ninayozungumza bado tumepata tenda ingine kutoka kwa county.
Ni bayana kuwa hatua hii inawapa uwezo wa wafanyakazi na pia kuhakikisha ujenzi wa nyumba hizi unafikia viwango vya juu.
On site we have new technology. Kitambo ulikuwa ukifunga column ama unafunga slab inachukua like almost a week. But now you have a machine that itakukatia chuma 1000 within 2 hours. Ukiangalia cumulatively, instead of kufanya project na 5 years, now you can do it in 2 years. So the quality is guaranteed, imebaki. Speed iko. Everything is assured that it's up to date as per the building codes and as per the design codes. Nothing changes.
We are here to ensure that the contractor is doing a quality work and there's no any shortcut which is being taken.
Isitoshe, miradi hii ya ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu inaleta manufaa mengine kwa wakazi wa maeneo haya ambavyo ni nguzo muhimu za kujenga jamii imara.
We are giving you a lifestyle. So all of them have what we call a clubhouse with swimming pool. You know, you have a social hall where you can meet as a community. There is lots of green spaces that have been put there to allow the kids to play. We are also building new hospital facilities. We are also adding more classrooms in the existing schools or building new schools altogether. we are also able to deal with the big bulk infrastructure.
Ustawishaji huu umeboresha upatikanaji wa huduma na kubadilisha mitaa yote kuwa sehemu zinazostawi na kuunganishwa na miji.
Tunaondoa watu kwa slum. Hii Kibera slum iko hapa. In 10 years hakutakuwa na slum hapa. Na ndio mliona tulisukuma kabisa mambo ya housing fund. Itatusaidia wa vijana wapate ajira, Wakenya tupate manyumba, tuishi katika mahali kuna heshima, mahali kuna maji, kuna stima, kuna barabara.
Lengo hili ni msingi wa kuwezesha Wakenya wengi kumiliki nyumba kwa urahisi kuliko hapo awali.
Kwa mshabuzi mimi save zingiri 3 kwa cooperative ya hii mradi yetu ya hapa Soweto. Kufuatana na ile kiwango tuliekewa ile nyumba unafaa kusave. Unajua ziko mara 3. Sasa mahali mahitaji yangu itanifikishia ile ninaweza save, bora nikuwe na nyumba yenye mimi mwenyewe najua sasa hii ni yangu.
Serikali inalenga kupunguza uhaba uliopo wa nyumba kila mwaka kote nchini.
We are in every county, up to 40 counties. We plan to go into the 47 counties. The numbers right now are approaching 130,000 housing units.
Mpango huu mahususi unaendelea kutekelezwa kupitia uzinduzi wa miradi iliyokamilika katika ngazi ya kitaifa na kaunti. Hatua hii imechangia katika ukuaji wa uchumi kwa kuunganisha biashara ndogo na za kadri, sekta ya jua kali na kuweka vifungu thabiti vya sheria vinavyochangia ufadhili wa gharama nafuu unaosaidia utekelezaji wa miradi hii ya nyumba.
Since this levy came in, a number of development partners who had been watching the program have now shown great interest to come in and support with long-term affordable financing.
Jukwaa la mtandao wa Boma Yangu lililobuniwa kurahisisha usajili na umiliki wa nyumba za bei nafuu umewezesha familia za mapato ya chini kumiliki nyumba. Jukwaa hili la Boma Yangu linahakikisha kuwepo kwa uwazi na usawa katika utaratibu wa kumiliki nyumba na kupunguza uwezekano wa ufisadi na ubaguzi.
Boma Yangu iko open because iko pale kwa mtandao. Uhitaji kuenda kwa ofisi fulani useme mimi ama uongee na mtu fulani ili upate hiyo nyumba. Na unaona deposits zako in real life, kuna accountability.
Mbinu hii ya kidijitali imewarahisishia maelfu ya Wakenya kuafikia ndoto yao ya kumiliki nyumba na hivyo basi kuhamasisha upatikanaji wa nyumba za bei nafuu kwa wote.
Ile ambayo tuliishi Manso, hii iko tofauti. Hiyo estate iko sawa. Iko mazingira, rooms ni ndogo, nini haina shida. Kuliko kulipa kodi, afadhali ukae mahali ambapo unaishi mwenyewe. Mimi naambia wale ambao hawajui na hawajaelewa, waje wanunue, wasiogope.
Ahadi ya serikali katika mradi wa ujenzi wa nyumba za bei nafuu ni thabiti kama inavyodhihirika kwenye mpango wa mageuzi ya kiuchumi wa bottom up.
Wamefanya vizuri kutujengea nyumba, wasisikize mambo mingi, na ukifanya kazi na ujasikia watu wakiongea uzuri na ubaya, ujue kuna kasoro.
Hatua kwa hatua, makao bora, maisha bora.
Y254. Imagine.
Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi, tunatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Kendrelby. Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. You can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondu Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nini.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatumia mikosi, tunalindwa na sabuni pekee.
254. Imagine.
Karibu sana. This is the first conversation of the day. My good name is Brian Sankwa. We have asked you a question about the heroes that you are celebrating. Could be your mother, could be your father, or anybody you endearingly love who has inspired change, not just for you, but the whole entire generation. That includes your community and your life as well. So don't hesitate, don't be afraid to let us know on that hashtag, which is Why in the Morning on our question that's already on our social media. Y254_ on the ground. Personally, mine is at Brian Sankwa 101. We'd love to see and hear your feedback. But right about now, we're delving into matters state of the nation, current affairs, trending, and of course, we're deep diving into what exactly transpired yesterday at Kwale and some of the notable things, including the president's speech. So before we actually get further, I want to introduce to you my panel who are live with me in studio. And today I'm engaging Miriam Kadeu. She's a youth leader / auditor professionally, alongside counterpart SK Kajwang, who's also a youth leader, plus many other things. So lady and gentlemen, let's get to it very fast. I'm going to start off with the lady. What were some of those interesting things that caught your attention during yesterday's president's speech at Kwale? Of course, Mashujaa Day, you know, it actually, you know, it went on to be from a Mashujaa Day to, you know, the deputy president being released, discharged from hospital, and then him again unleashing some bombshells left, right, and center that left tongues wagging and jaws dropping. But then, if you were to zero in on what the president mentioned yesterday at Kwale, what are some of the things that caught your attention?
What really caught my attention was the aspect that the president was really focused on matters that are not really pertinent to the common mwananchi. You could tell from his speech, heavily he echoed the things about housing. We didn't hear anything about the funding bans in the university, the uproar in the society about the shifting. I would have expected it being a Mashujaa Day maybe. He would have touched on things that really are what are arcing the citizens currently. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about you, SK? What are some
Thank
of
you.
those things that
I can say that the whole event was configured towards tackling and doing politics. That was a national event that ought to have been configured towards addressing real issues that are affecting Kenyans.
Right.
But even to how the respondents, people who were given an opportunity to speak, they deliberately were talking politics. And actually, as a patriotic citizen of this country, I would in mind to say we ought to be serious. Yes.
Right. But then it went on from Mashujaa Day to, you know, I don't know if it's soon to be former or the court is going to reinstate his seat. Of course, they issued conservatory orders. He's being accused of 11 charges plus many other things. But then yesterday he dropped some bombshells left, right, and center. One of them being the president does not listen. Another one being is stop overtaxing Kenyans. Another one being stop, you know, deducting. That includes again the SHIF and SHAF, which is still controversial till right now. Matters Adani, JKI being taken over. This again comes just a backdrop. I think it's just a day after there's a scandal at Mama Lucy Hospital where, you know, mothers cannot even, you know, secure a bed, but some of them have even paid for it. I think a couple of months ago we heard Nairobi Governor Sakaja say that, you know what, the situation at Mama Lucy has been quelled, healthcare is going to be top-notch, but then it's skyrocketing but on a downward spiral. So when you look at some of these issues and now the impeachment in between and now the deputy president dropping the bombshells, do you feel like it's some sort of like a mental game that's diverting also attention from the real issues that should be tackled and handled, and instead we are busy just crying, you know, about something else that should not even be looked at, especially in this season right now?
Thank you so much. I will say in particular, without any fear of contradiction, that the man to blame is President William Ruto. Because we have to ask ourselves this very concrete question. Before we knew Rigathi Gachagua as just an MP for Mathira constituency, we knew William Ruto as Deputy President.
Yeah.
And it is William Ruto who brought Rigathi Gachagua as his deputy. And therefore, the many things they are heaping on Rigathi Gachagua having committed as Deputy President are null and void, according to me. Article 151B of the Constitution says that once the impeachment of a Deputy President has been conducted by the two chambers, both the National Assembly and the Senate, it gives the President an opportunity to nominate a person to fill that position within 14 days, and further directs that the Parliament or the National Assembly has 60 days to take that into consideration. That is for debate and also clearance. But what we have seen is the skyrocketed speed and determination that the National Assembly and the Senate had to remove Rigathi Gachagua from office is quite alarming and flexing. And we ask ourselves many questions. There are so many, many other things that President William Ruto ought to have considered rather than impeaching Rigathi Gachagua. We never elected President William Ruto to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. We never elected President William Ruto to bring Schiff and Shah. We never elected President William Ruto to tax and impoverish Kenyans. We never elected President William Ruto to compromise and bring technical fundamentalities to the economy of our country. We never elected President William Ruto to bring inflexible funding system to the students in the universities. We elected William Ruto to sort, among many other things, that he promised that he will sort out the issues of Mama Mboga and the Boda Boda guys. But since his election 2 years down the line, President William Ruto is still doing politics with the economy, doing politics with everything else that things ought to be done. And therefore, personally, I will say, the main topic that now is going on in the country is about the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. And we as young people of this country are saying, kufa dereva, kufa makanga, kufa makanika, kufa wote. What we want right now is justice to be served to Kenyans. And as a patriotic citizen, I will say I hold in mind that everyone should go home. We're going to clean up the mess. We're going to drown the swamp so that everyone gets an equal share.
Right.
So that will be my point, without any fear.
Right. Let me come to you, Miriam. He's pointed out, actually, before even the conservatory orders were issued by the courts, there's a period that's supposed to take before an impeachment is finally considered. But then this whole process looked like, my question is, do you feel that there's an ulterior motive with the rushing of the impeachment process to a point now, this person is being yanked out of office, and then no sooner are we blinking, they've introduced his replacement very fast. But then on this other side, Kenyans are like, okay, you guys go, we are good. But then also like, we care so much. We saw people like Adoni Wamshomba come on camera. They were crying, they were in tears. We had former governor as well, who was in tears, saying that this is such an unfair thing. Do you believe that there's a reason why they were rushing this impeachment so that they bring in a replacement who has been barred by the court to be sworn in, from your observation and your understanding?
Definitely, yeah. It's only an ignorant person who wouldn't think that they had this planned out, yeah? We have seen tweets from, notable leaders saying 2 weeks or in how long will the DP be impeached.
Okay.
But as unfair as it is, I really look forward to a time where we are not waiting for an impeachment thing to come up so that someone is dropping bombshells on the camera. I don't know now if that can be trusted or any, Why is it that when you were in that position, you did not try in your capacity to move things around to favor the common wananchi? The worst thing is that we are being caught up in a drama, that is between two people, for lack of a better word, who are in bed together in running this country. They know what they are fighting for, but really, is it really relevant to the common mananchi? You understand?
Yeah.
This whole thing, I wish the way they are moving this impeachment motion could be the same speed they use, you know, when they're asking people, oh, SHIF is bad.
Yes.
Tumewasikia, we are taking it out. You do not agree with the education bans, we are here to serve you as our citizens. So we are taking it out. But the way they have moved so fast with the impeachment motion, you can clearly tell where the priorities of our leaders are. Politics over economic improvement.
Right.
Yeah.
When you look at the general demeanor, or maybe just a chunk, if you were to dissect the personality of soon to be ex or reinstated Heavens, yeah, if they agree, yeah. His demeanor, he's been constantly saying that he's a truthful man, and he looks like he says things to the president and he does not listen or consider him or hear him out. Even in yesterday's address after he was discharged from hospital, he said the president does not listen, and he says the only reason, in fact, he's being impeached is because of being a truthful man. But then when you look at that whole game and the way it's playing out, do you feel that there's something hidden that maybe that prompted, let's do away with Mr. Rigathi and bring in someone perhaps maybe who could play out the way we want? Because also in the address yesterday he said, even if they succeed to bring in, you know, Prof, who is Mr. Kindiki, Interior CS, he's going to sign some sort of NDA. You know, it means that you're coming to be in this position, but there's some things you will not be allowed to touch, have a say, or question, because deputy as well he says he's questionable. You know, he questions everything and he's all about the truth. What could this be that, you know, they're preventing from being exposed? Is that something that Kenyans might need to know from your observation?
Well, definitely, I think so.
What could it be potentially if you were to just, you know, think around it?
Based on the information that I have in my hands as a common mananchi, not a part of the executive or anything, you can also bear me witness. How long ago did you know about the Adani deal after it's already completed?
Right.
Probably this could be some of the things that they need protected from, you know, the common mananchi. And what's very funny is that this is a government that came in saying we are going to be very transparent with our citizens this time round. You know, we will let you people know what's happening in the government. So it's also perplexing to hear that they need a deputy to sign a what? A non-disclosure agreement. But again, we might need to have somebody who can give us a scoop of what happens there. And as citizens, really, this person who's giving us a scoop should be the president and the executive team. Because what are you hiding from the people who are literally funding your budget?
Yes.
We pay your taxes.
Right.
You know, we are paying our taxes as citizens. We are funding the economy. You're taking loans. Actually, before they take any loan, they should be coming to Kenyans and telling them, this is the offer, these are the interest rates. Mkosawa, not having public participation about things that are not even relevant.
Right.
We want to participate in things like that, that can be very shifting to our economy. Yeah?
Yes.
So
you feel there's something. There's a lot, in fact.
There's something, and then also this other side is not speaking so openly about it.
Right.
And again, I hate to say this, but I have to say it. I can't trust any side. If you agree with me, politics is a game of optics. There's what one camp is trying to portray, and there's what the other camp is trying to portray.
Yeah.
But in all these menace, yeah, as citizens, we should be asking, how does it really improve our economic situation and our lives?
Yeah.
You understand? Impeach people, get into NDA agreements, but again, how are you changing the lives of Mama Mboga, Boda Boda, students, people who are just leaving university and there are no jobs in the market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. SK, this whole thing is like it's bringing us some sort of sympathy to, you know, the person as well who's being impeached. And at some point, you know, he posted a demeanor of like a person who speaks for the Gen Zs. And I think he garnered a bit of the attention. And in fact, even before the whole impeachment happened, a lot of people were sympathizing. If you were closely following on the feedback on X, a lot of people were saying you're praying for Rigiji, especially when he became ill and he was admitted at Karen. But then when it comes to the person that they're trying to bring into office, Do you believe that he's going to bring a different soundtrack maybe from what we've seen? Because even the person, what they're accusing him is speaking of Murima all the time. Of course, Murima, they said don't guza it, but it has been guzoed according to one of the Gen Zs. Huh? And then, yes, if you look at some of the things they're accusing him of, critics are saying they're not even worth it. Politics is all about sentiments. It's sentimental. You say this, you say that. You differ with this one, you shake hands with this one, you run away from this one, you hug this one, and we've seen all of those play out live on TV. So when you look at the person they're trying to bring in, is he going to be the one who's going to transform everything that maybe what the one has been in office has not been transforming, from your thinking?
Thank you. I think politics, as suggested by Albert Einstein, says that politics is a pendulum of swings between anarchy and tyranny. And that justification is given by illusions. But it is also unprecedented to note that procedural technicalities cannot override substantive justice. And as far as we are pushing Rigathi Gachagua to the wall, we must respect the Constitution that also grants him an opportunity to be heard, and the courts have that jurisdiction to make a determination. Therefore, because the courts have given conservatory orders, the president should respect the court orders, and even withdrawing the security from Rigathi Gachagua should not be the case, because the courts were very clear in their determination that the case must first be heard, and a determination must be made on 24th. And therefore, Article 149.8 says that for a person to be considered to serve a full term, that person must serve more than 2.5 years.
Right.
And therefore, Rigathi Gachagua has not served for 2.5 years. That means even for his retirement benefits, he will not get that.
To access them.
He will not be able to access them.
Okay.
And I want to say particularly that President William Ruto, as Rigathi Gachagua said yesterday, is a vicious and a man with vengeance. Because the rate at which an acclamation has been made to withdraw and remove Rigathi Gachagua from office is quite unprecedented.
Do you believe he deserves his security even as this process is still
Yes,
ongoing?
of course he deserves security, because right now as we are talking, Rigathi Gachagua is still the Deputy President of Kenya, despite the fact that the Senate had made a determination to impeach him. The courts were very clear that they gave conservatory orders. That means Rigathi Gachagua is still the Deputy President of this country. Therefore, the President should respect the court orders, because the problem with this country is that once someone is elected leader at any position, they think now they are demigods, or they think they are big humans.
Right.
That means they think that they do not respect the Constitution and the laws of the land. So it's quite very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. When he said that the president does not listen, even after, I think before the Gen Zs and just in the heat of passion of reject finance bill and whatnot, there was at first, I think it is IMF that, I think they issued a directive. In fact, they apologized for it. But then before that, they said there were talks in between to have it withdrawn. But then there was an issue of the trust deficit between netizens and the current leadership at hand. And there's one of the interviews where the president was asked, do you believe there's a trust deficit between you and the citizens? And he almost slapped the journalist, but then he responded emotively. But then when you look at it right now with what's happening, do Kenyans still believe in this current regime, or it's going to be a fight? Because I think it's 2 months and then the year ends. There's things that are still festering, like SHIF, SHA, and now NHF, the transition. In fact, I've just been pointing out a story before we came in, what's happening at Mama Lucy. The hospital is incapacitated. Still on the SHIF and SHA thing, there's patients that are not even able to access their dialysis. When you click on the website, it's lagging. And now you've mentioned as well the funding model. There's somebody who called it the IMF funding model. Do you believe that maybe there need to be shift of advisors, and somebody who talked about being tone deaf, perhaps there needs to be a descending, like come down and just hear what people say down here. You're up there, there's people who are feeding you with the info, but maybe they're not feeding you with the right info. Perhaps maybe you need to engage with people more, because what will he do now? But the abductions are all-time high. insecurity, though you, in fact, yesterday the Wajir MCA was found dead and believed, I don't know, to have done what in politics. So these things are skyrocketing every day. So what should happen from hereafter?
Thank you so much. The rate at which President William Ruto has lost public trust is unprecedented, and he should worry a lot for that, because that's why Martin Lomala said in his famous quote that when they came for the trade unionists, I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. When they came for the socialists, I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. And finally, when they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me. I had to stand the ground and speak for myself. And if you have seen down the memory lane, when William Ruto was deputy president in one of his political rallies, I think in the central Kenya, he told President Uhuru Kenyatta that do to me anything you want, but don't touch my children, don't kill my children. And then just recently, after William Ruto took office as president, and there was some disturbance at the home of the children of Uhuru Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta came out and told President William Ruto that you can do to me anything you want, but don't touch my mother and don't kill my children. Then just yesterday, you saw Rigathi Gachagua saying to President William Ruto, you are vicious and you're not a good man, but whatever you can do, you can kill me, you can do to me anything you want, but don't touch my family and don't touch my children. Then I asked myself,
what is the signal that we are deducing from that?
Then I asked myself a number of questions. What about the 50+ young people who were killed on the streets when they came out to express their democratic right, their constitutional right, under Article 37 of the Constitution that enshrines that we have the right to peacefully demonstrate, picket, and provide to government authorities, petitions to government authorities. We ask ourselves as young people, what about those 50+ who are killed? What about the 1,000+ who are taken to police stations? What about the many, many who are arrested, the many who are abducted, the many who are killed, including the Wajir MCA, whose body was found mutilated badly? We ask ourselves, to the many, many families who lost their children, to the many, many families whose children were abducted, tortured, to the many families whose mental capacities are in torture, to the many, many, many university students who are corruptly introduced to the streets, they were killed, and they were badly destroyed. Who is going to defend us if those in power are also corruptly negotiating on how to make deals to continue deteriorating our economy? Those are the pertinent questions that we should be asking, not about the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. We should ask President William Ruto the deal he told to Mama Mboga, the project he gave to the Boda Boda guys, the projects he told that he will be able to introduce to the university students for them to be able to finance their studies. Those are the pertinent questions we should be asking. And so, as patriotic citizens of this country, as Mark Twain has always been pointed, that a patriotic citizen is one who defends his country all the time and his government when it deserves so. And therefore, as a patriotic citizen, I'm not defending this government of President William Ruto because it has messed up our lives. It has made us miserable. It has made us bitter. We do not have employment. We have nothing left at home. And therefore, we are miserable. And we want to express our frustration that on the ballot in 2027, we are not going to elect this government. And I want to share this frustration with many other young people of this country that do not show mercy, do not show sympathy to this government and any other elected individual who was given a responsibility to take care of citizens, but they have not been able to practice that. Let them go home.
Miriam, I don't know if you will admit that there's good things that have happened or manifested since the inception or installation into office that you would say, if we were to compare with the previous regime and up to where we are today, at least Apple they've adjusted, but you'll respond to that later. But then when it comes to the issue of the president listening to the people, do you believe maybe there need to be a change of advisors? Because there's the issue of tone deafness, or you're not hearing what people are saying down here. Even during the Gen Z time, there was like, but you're not listening. People are saying they don't want this finance bill. But then there was a lot of drama in between that included over 61 plus people that died, in fact, not even 50 plus. But then till right now, nothing has been said, no apology, no compensation. Do you believe maybe there's times that are coming that they need to shake up their advisory board kidogo tu? Like waeke tu mtu anawaambia yenyewe, situation on ground, si vile unaambiwa kwa hii pen and paper. It's totally different. The picture is people hate you, they don't like you, they are resentful, they feel that they're being oppressed, but you're still going ahead to launch your projects and they're still hard-pinched. Do you believe there need to be a structure that checks that advisory board, especially the ones that gives info to the president about what's happening on ground?
Well, there's hakuna mahali ambapo kuna smoke that there is no fire, yeah? If the former or ex-deputy president is alluding to that our president is not someone who listens, maybe, just maybe, because he's worked with him, it could be true. But about shaking the advisory system, really, when you're the president, you know everything that's happening. True or not true? Case in point, when people are planning activities on the same Mashujadi, he was aware. He knows what's happening, right? When you plan a demonstration, he knows what's happening. Does the president know that the citizens of our country have less trust with him? Probably, yes, he does know that. Do you need to shake up the advisory team? I don't think it would have any material impact, you understand?
Okay.
Because I'm looking for a better way to put it. If I'm someone who is always advising you, and maybe you don't take what I'm telling you seriously, then even if we bring you an advisor from heaven, you probably will not listen.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I think should happen with the president, I don't know if it's a game of interests or whatever is happening that is making it so hard for the executive to listen to the common mwananchi. It's about time they just calm down and listen to, you know, mwananchi. Because for the, I mean, an apology would have gone a long way. These things of holding X spaces, I don't think it's relevant anymore. Or this public participation. Time for advising the executive is up. They need to act. There's no advice that they don't have. The people who are sitting in those positions are professionals. Some of them are professors. You understand? So I really believe these are people who have brains, that they know how a country should be run. They know how to listen to people and how to serve their interests. But again, I'll go back to what I said before. All what we are seeing here is politics. And the priorities of our country, unfortunately, the people in leadership are prioritizing politicking than economic improvement.
Right.
If that shifts, maybe we will see something different. It's only that their priorities right now are in the wrong place.
Right.
We just need a change, a shift in priorities. They don't need to be advised. People have advised them enough. Don't you think so? Don't you think people have advised them enough?
Okay.
Do you think? Do you think they have?
Okay. But then when you look at the reaction, especially if you were to backtrack to the finance bill,
yes,
they came in, I don't know if it was a public participation, but of course it was to be voted against. But then the Gen Zs had already said they don't want it.
Yes.
But then it emerged that people are paid 1 million to vote for it. So when you say that even the people sitting in those offices are professionals, they're seated there, but they are powerless because until an order comes from above. But of course, if you act within your jurisdiction and maybe make a decision that will maybe do impact, they are coming for you. So that means you're just there as a puppet.
Yeah.
So there's somebody who said at some point the president will be impeached because you've said Kufa Makanga, Kufa Dereva, and even mechanic and everyone.
Yes.
Somebody was also saying that this impeachment is also setting pace and just forum for the next person who will not act the way Kenyans want. They will directly be impeached. But then when you look at the parliament itself at large, people are saying it's been, you know, captured. So they can't act according to how citizens want. They act according to orders from above because they are also helpless. They're just like puppets. So that means change is not coming anytime soon. And speaking of change, in fact, the other day we heard that is he George Ruku or Geoffrey Ruku? He tabled a motion that seeks to regulate Article 37 on who should go to picket where and what time and what situation should prompt people to demonstrate and picket. And trust me, it was implicated. I think it was just part of it. They're saying you can't picket and demonstrate in CBD. If you'll be found, you'll be arrested. So CBD is out of bounds as we speak right now. And then they came up with a bill, I think it's called it's called the Creative Fund by Senator Eddie Oketch. But then others interpreted it and said it's social media regulation bill, where they want to, in fact, they've already registered all content creators and people who have been vocal on X platforms who say things that influence others. They've given them a creative fund, and I think they gave it to Trevor. It's now called the Digital Content Creators Association of Kenya. So as time goes by, your freedoms are being limited. They're doing away with picketing. They're doing away with X spaces. Soon they'll completely tell people to not, gather and do digital activism. The abductions are now an all-time high. If you say something right now, they are coming for you like yesterday. So it looks like your freedoms are being ended, but then your leaders are helpless. So who is going to speak for Kenyans? Will Kenyans now get back to the streets again and speak for themselves? Or there's a leader who's going to emerge? At first it was Morara Kebaso. Looks like he's been captured as well. Caswell Makori, who is now sided with the other side. So who is going to save Kenyans? Are they Kenyans themselves, or are leaders going to emerge?
Well, thank you for that submission. I would easily ask you what Atoli asked Jeff on the other time. In whose hands are we safe?
Right.
On the point of leaders being compromised, I'll go back to my point, priorities. This might sound very unconventional. I would have no problem with a leader who would go, take that 1 million, and then still go there and vote no, and represent what's happening on the ground. You understand? If you have creators who have been captured, get the funding, but you can choose to act differently. What we have here is people who have very funny priorities.
Right.
If our leaders and parliament really wanted to save us from all this that's happening, they would. You understand? Because there is power in unity and one voice. If they all decided, well, situation is really bad, let's choose to, close our eyes and look the other way and save our situation in the country, they would. But again, we are dealing with a crop of leaders that are used to corruption. They have bathed in corruption, they reek of corruption, and they don't know any other thing besides that. So it would be a wild expectation for them to act differently. So that's why Gen Zs are saying, kufa makanga, kufa dereva, kufa mechanic, and all the people in that bus. You understand? But if it were possible, again, our government is formed by people who really trust God, and they are church goers and they pray a lot. We can pray for a miracle to happen so that these people can be outed from the captivity they are in, so that they are able to tell president and the entire presidency and everyone else, look, I know these are your interests, but how about we move like this? You understand? If people are united on a common front of doing what is right by the constitution that governs us, I believe there would be change. But because we are still dealing with a crop that still believes in corruption and serving people's interests, I mean, we would be stuck there for a while. So again, we can ask God to do a miracle, because we've seen miracles work. And the biggest testimony is how the government got into power. Yes, I believe a miracle can happen as well. Yes.
But then there's also the issue of both of y'all are Christians. Why can't you just forgive each other? But then there's also somebody who compared and said, but you are also in the same situation, but you are not impeached. So why are you impeaching your comrade, man? And why can't they forgive each other and just, move ahead? But then let's switch a little bit. Do you believe as well we might reach to a place where, Kenyans will decide that they will go back to the streets? If they're not being heard, they'll have to go to. If they were to gather again and have that spirit of activism that they had until they penetrated and broke into parliament, is it possible to garner the same numbers with what we are experiencing?
You should not underrate a frustrated man. Yeah, you should never underrate a frustrated, and people are being frustrated left, right, and center. During the first phase of Maandamano, maybe some people were okay with how things were going on. Now, more people are aggravated. Even now, worse, the DP is being impeached. So the people who may be aligned with his interests now will be there with the Gen Zs. So really, if there's going to be I pray that there's such a movement. But I also
You feel that it's necessary now, even before than the finance bill?
Well, even in the finance bill, it was very necessary. You know, right now, it's also quite necessary.
It's worse.
What's really bad is that we will go on the streets, people will die, and then families are left frustrated, and then it's a chain, and then the abductions, and then, you know, that thing of instilling fear, it continues. But I pray for a time where fear will even be gone with the executive, judiciary, so that we can all stand up against what's happening.
Do you see that time coming?
I pray it happens. Again, I've told you, we're in a government where, you know, a lot of miracles happen. So I'm believing in a miracle like that. It should happen, and I'm hoping that when that miracle happens this time round, it just clears out what we need to clear. Yeah.
Okay, SK, there's something special about the Murima side and the central region, yeah? They always have a place and a say in every government, yeah? If you look at the history of Mount Kenya region, of course, they pride themselves as, you know, having been the first people that, you know, initiated for change, including the DP says he's a part of the Mau Mau, yeah? He says he's a descendant of it, yeah? That region has a special ID. But then the DP now soon to be to be reinstated, and I'll ask you what could be the possible outcomes if the court rules in his favor. Do you believe the Murima side still has a significant voice, in as much as they're trying to do away with it, even with the person who was very vocal about it, and it came off as, you know, tribal because of the way he articulates the narrative? Do you believe the Murima side will still, you know, it needs to be included, in as much as we are saying it's tribal, but it matters if you look at it politically now, without the filter or the eyeball of, you know, this is tribal, this is tribal? Does it still matter in what's happening in the country right now?
Thank you. Abraham Lincoln said that it takes courage to stand up and speak the truth. And it is true that the truth can never be defeated. We must say it plainly that if it were not for the Murima people, William Ruto will not be president today. That is the truth. And I like the fact that Rigathi Gachagua always says that he's a truthful man. And he has always said the truth.
You believe he's a truthful man?
Yeah, he's an honest man.
1,000%.
Yeah, he's an honest man as far as I believe so. Because if it were not for the Murima, William Ruto will not be president today.
For real?
And Rigathi Gachagua is one of the proponents who really mobilized and vouched for the presidency of William Ruto. That is why you saw Rigathi Gachagua yesterday very bitter, because a man that is supported to the core, a man that he mobilized forces, even financially, his resources, to ensure that he's elected president. Right now, he's ousting him out of office.
And that's betrayal, right?
Yes, and there is this thing that politicians have the ability to foretell what will happen tomorrow, what will happen next week, what will happen next month, what will happen next year, and also have the ability to justify when it does not happen. And you have heard this guy called Itumbi, publishing information about systemia facts. When President William Ruto came, they told us unga ilikuwa juu, they told us everything ilikuwa juu. Wakatuambia kwamba in a matter of days, in a matter of months, all these things are going to come down. In 2 years down the line, he's still publishing the nonsensical information about systemia facts the cylinder ya gas imeshuka, anatupublishia sijui unga imeshuka, anatupublishia sijui sukari imeshuka. Nonsense. These are the guys who are bootlicking their bosses. And these are the kind of people that we do not want in this government. And as a young person, mimi napenda, I am very courageous and I will say the truth to power. Because whatever it takes, whether by blood, whether by sweat, whether by tears, we must ensure that we defend our country. We must ensure that we defend our people. We must ensure that those who have been oppressed are defended. Wow. We must ensure that those who are homeless are talked about. Their voices are being heard. We must ensure that the voice of the voiceless is being pitched by those who get an opportunity like us, who have gotten an opportunity to come to Y254 and be able to discuss the discourse of the state of the nation. Right. And that is why a philosopher said that at the end of time, both the oppressed and the oppressor will be punished equally. The oppressor will be punished for oppressing the oppressed, and the oppressed will be punished for accepting oppression. And therefore, us as the oppressed, we are not going to be vindicated. We are not going to allow to be oppressed. We are going to stand our ground and ensure that we fight for our rightful share in this country, because we are not aliens. We are natives of this country. And if someone wants to think that is bigger than others, if anyone wants to think that he has bigger shares than any other citizen of this country, that is very misguided. I am a patriotic citizen of this country, and I deserve fair treatment. I deserve an opportunity to get what these people who are in government are enjoying, because I'm a citizen of this country. And therefore, if you want to discriminate others and feel that you are a bigger human than others, that is something that we want to give a stern warning to those who are right now in the government, that your day is coming and the day for reckoning is also near.
Right. If the court rules in favor of the deputy president and by chance he gets reinstated, what could be the possible outcomes if you were to keenly and closely observe that?
I think we give the courts an opportunity to exercise their jurisdiction and jurisprudence in terms of ruling and making a determination on the case that is before them. But if the deputy president is reinstated, I think there will be a very tough back and push, because the president has already commissioned a way to impeach him and ensure that he is ousted out of government. That means if the courts are going to reinstate Rigathi Gachagua to office of deputy president, there will be a very, 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 very tough time between the president and his deputy. Right. That means us as citizens are going to suffer, because everyone will now be looking for ways to ensure that they bundle the other, to downgrade the other down. But one thing remains constant. We are in a state of a quagmire, and we need to revisit as Kenyans. We have a sole responsibility to ensure that we keep checks and balances, that those who want to counterfeit our country, we counterfeit them. And how are we going to counterfeit them? The way we did in the Gen Z led revolutions, by ensuring even the likes of the people who are showing us the watches that they bought with 3 million, tunawaanika, tunawaambia this is not the way to go. Kama hata ni kuwaendea in their homes, tunawaendea. If it is meeting them on these streets, tunawameet na tunawasalimia. That is the way to go. And we are not going to keep these people. We are not going to keep calm. We are going to mobilize vigorously to ensure that our country is protected from alls. And people who think now, because they are in power, this country is theirs and they can even sell to the highest bidder. Like now the JKIA, they want to sell to an Asian guy. They want to sell our national assets to people from other countries. Yeah. While we as Kenyans, sisi tuko tu hapo tunafikiri sasa ati sisi wote ni wananchi, and some of us are selling our national assets. Those are things that we are not going to agree to. And this be noted, sisi hatutaogopa. You saw just yesterday, a report was published about an MCA mwenye alipotea in September. Akapatikana jana, he was murdered and his body was badly mutilated. These are the things that we do not want this government to practice. And you saw Deputy President during his inauguration saying the former regime was abducting and killing citizens. Akasema, hii regime yao, they will not kill and abduct citizens. They will not use the criminal justice system to kill people.
Do you believe they've done it twice than even the other?
In fact, now, saa ndio wanaua wananchi. And there is this famous quote by Howard Zinn, which said that the flag, there is no flag which is big or large to protect the shame of killing citizens or civilians. And therefore, I want to tell President William Ruto and his government, stop killing young people. Stop abducting young people. Stop taking young people because they are opposing you and then you throw them in swamps and rivers. Stop oppressing us. We deserve an equal right in this country.
All right, and I'll come to you. I'll want you to react on the issue of public participation, and now we can include the university funding model as well as, HELB. As we speak right now, it has not been released. Just your word on it, but I'll divide 3 minutes each, because you're almost reaching on top of the hour. Back to you, Miriam. Do you foresee from your personal intuition and your filter of observation him being reinstated by the courts? And then also, do you prefer he gets reinstated or he stays outside and give us more tea, according to one of the blogs that say, please awacha kae nje atuambie kila kitu ilikuwa na happen huko ndani, so that Kenyans now can get intel and make a decision on what move to make next if this regime has to stay in place.
Well, Rigathi Gachagua has branded himself as a truthful man, yeah? So a reinstation to office or not should not matter.
Okay.
You understand? In fact, if I were him and the courts reinstated me, he'd rather resign, yeah? Because clearly, you've seen there's a part of the government that does not want to work with you. So your efforts will not really be recognized. You might not even have room to perform as you want to. So as truthful as he is, he should choose to stay out of government. He can, because he has worked closely with this government, he knows where the loops are, yeah? In his capacity as a truthful man, he should try tighten those loops and engage the citizens in that journey.
Can he join opposition if the best thing can happen now?
By the sentiments he shared yesterday on air, he's already in opposition.
Yeah, because even also the people who've been in his support backyard are people from previously opposition.
Yeah.
Or even currently as well.
From his remarks yesterday, he's already in opposition, because what is opposition?
Right. To keep in check.
To keep in check. So if, as truthful as he claims to be, he should not get back to bed with these people. Let them run the show. He has had his opportunity. Clearly from his address yesterday, it was not good. You understand? If I am a kid and as a parent you're taking me to a school where I'm bullied every day, trust me, when you give me the opportunity to transfer, I will grasp it very fast.
For the hills.
I will. So what he should do, he should pick that transfer letter and begin the good course of, you know, trying to align things in his capacity.
Do you believe he'll have more close, you know, relationship with Kenyans? Kenyans will move to him more. If he comes up with something, he'll receive more support than when he was DP.
Maybe he would. But personally, I would advise Kenyans to, you know, chew on it with a very long spoon. Because if when you were in bed with these people, I mean, you were not calling them out on anything that they were doing. Everything was good on your end. It's also funny that now I'm out of this relationship with the government. Now is when I'm calling them out on what was wrong. You understand? An honest person.
But also it's worth it. It's worth it if they did you dirty. Why can't you also say where they were pinching you? And maybe while you were there, you're not able because they had muzzled you up and now your mouth is open. Why can you not run it?
And I will keep on saying this. I'm looking forward to a time where we'll have a crop of leaders that will be able to be honest despite the positions they are holding and whatever, you know, they need to control. So his honesty, it's a delayed, the honesty is delayed, but as Kenyans, we will have to work with what we have.
Yeah,
so
because already Kenyans know so much, you know, they don't even need NIS anymore or info from above.
Yes. So it's delayed honesty, but we will take it. But as truthful as he is, I would advise him not to pick the reinstation, because again, how do you work with someone who's already outing you? It will also create more chaos into the governance of the country.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that once he leaves office, if the court decides not to reinstate him, they're saying it's going to set the pace even for the president, Mr. Ruto. If he plays his cards badly, then an impeachment will also be tabled for him. Do you believe it's possible to impeach him and get him out of office? And, you know, in fact, there's somebody who is saying, haoni, you know, staki kusema haoni nini, but haoni anasema he sees another impeachment also coming for him. Are they safe with Kenyans?
I mean, clearly with the demonstrations that have been happening, it's clear that our country, the citizens have no confidence in this leadership. We don't even need to go to parliament for a vote of no confidence. It's evident, left, right, and center.
But they are prayerful. They're praying for you.
Yes, they should continue, and I keep on saying they should continue with the prayers. I believe miracles can also happen. Submission of prayers can be done by anyone. It does not matter whether you're truthful or not. You understand? Let them pray. But whether an impeachment is to come or not, I wouldn't predict it. But I would be keen to see the member of parliament that would do that. I hope this time round it's not from the Ukambani region.
Right.
They should pick someone from another place.
The
Yes.
Mutuse Ongoya
Yes,
interrogation.
we do not want that play again.
Yeah, in this country, things get just like it's a comedy. Somebody said Kenya imefungwa for renovation. We are coming back the following year. And it's interesting, you know, the way things are unfolding. But I'd like you to react on the same. Do you believe that if he goes out of office before we get to the students and help, do you believe if he gets out of office, even the president himself now can be, you know, the next candidate for impeachment? Because Kenyans are sick, like just Miriam has pointed out, like there's no confidence in anything right now. Does it set pace for even him as well?
Constitutionally, the Constitution prescribes that both the president and the deputy president are elected on one ticket. And therefore, the crimes that have been heaped to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua upon his impeachment are also liable to President William Ruto. Since
in fact, the same article that judges,
yes.
the DP is judging the
yes.
president as well.
Yes. And therefore, if President William Ruto is not going to be impeached by the National Assembly, since they fear him and they worship him in courts, then we, the civilians, are going to ensure that we come out to the streets to ensure William Ruto resigns forcefully.
Resigning or impeached?
He must resign.
Or resignation, not impeachment?
He must either resign or be impeached.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. We'll leave it at that. But remember, we'll have a disclaimer towards the tail end. But I want you to give me your reactions. The funding model is still, in fact, the whole education sector is in shambles. Students are still complaining the help has not been delivered. I've hosted University of Nairobi students here for years. I think this is the third year. We talk about Kuinama funding, you know, help has not released the money, or they reduced the money. There's been the issue of now the bonding, but then they're still being not listened to. The university, the higher learning funding model, there's some of them who are saying it's an IMF model, but then we're not even hearing from the Cabinet Secretary of Education so far. And then now you can add in Adani, you can now add in the health sector. Like everything is on a downward spiral. What needs to happen so that young people, especially those in higher learning institutions, should start reaping the benefits of, you know, higher education? Now that help has been delayed till right now as we speak, there's been no disbursements at all.
You know, Brian, you can lie to all the people sometime. You can lie to some people all the time, but you can never lie to all the people all the time. And it is my predicament that we, as the young people, the university students, those who are in the institutions of our learning, cannot accept to be lied to all the time. And you have seen a number of times university students coming out and taking to the streets, making clamor for justice, and pointing out to the Ministry of Education and the Health Department to ensure that they release these funds. And out of experience, having served as president of a student council, I know the many challenges that students go through, coming from inability to pay for their school fees, inability to pay rent, inability to even have food on the table. It is really frustrating at a time such as this, when we are having phenomenal challenges, that the students of Kenya are also on the bottom line of it. And just I think last week I had a number of students reaching out to me that, boss, we have not been able to receive our help. And it beckons the point, what is the government doing to ensure that they facilitate these young people, to ensure they get their education? And if you are aware, and I guess you are aware, that most of the children of politicians in this country do not go through the education system of Kenya. But they want to force us into this rotten system without facilitating it, without funding it. How are we going to ensure that we satisfy our curiosity for wisdom, our curiosity for knowledge, our curiosity for academic excellence, if the government is not supporting it? Yeah. That is why Nelson Mandela said that the only way to revolutionize the world is through education. And it is only through education that a child of a peasant can become doctor, can become lawyer, can become equivalent of other professions that are available. Yeah. And therefore I want to tell the government, to provide opportunities for every Kenyan child to get education, because it is the general equalizer. Therefore, if you infringe into the right of education, you are infringing into the right of every household, you are infringing into the right of every family, you are infringing into the right of every parent, and you are perturbing and killing their spirits and future. And therefore, the government should take responsibility, as they promised during the campaign trail, that they will serve Kenyans diligently. Serve Kenyans, release help, release funds, fund this education, give children an opportunity like you have taken your children using our taxes abroad. Give us that opportunity to get education. Then we shall satisfy our curiosity to access our destiny.
All right, Miriam, we are exiting. We are out of time. In fact, we are eating it into the next segment. I'd like you to give your parting shot on some of the areas that need to be given a facelift, what young people need to do so that they become, part of the next phase that's going to transform this country, because from where we are literally at a point called a precipice, tipping point. It's like on a nosedive, yeah? So if we continue like this, I think first of all, our freedoms are gone, because Article 37 has already been, they've slashed it out. According to Mr. Ruku from Bere, they're going to determine, in fact, they're saying as towards end of 2024 and now beginning of 2025, you'll not be demonstrating, Kabisa, because they want you to explain, they also want you to give reason. What are the things that should stimulate, in fact, people to picket and demonstrate? But this is a constitutional right anyways. And that means maybe they're borrowing from what the Gen Zs did. So maybe they want to never see that happen again, so that they curb that international shame, which of course, by the way, Kenyan Gen Zs made it to the cover of New York Times. That's like, it's like a monitor for everything in the whole entire planet Earth. Kenyan Gen Zs were on the splash of it. So that was international shame, of course. They broke into parliament. Of course, if you're up there like, this should never happen again. So let's curtail that freedom of picketing and demonstrating. But anyways, my question to you is, what should Gen Zs do, and literally everyone at large, so that they transform this country, so that to end up on a precipice or tipping point?
I will again go back to what I have been repeating entirely throughout this show: priorities. It's a shame that you're talking about funding models for universities, disbursement of help. This is a country that should be investing in the future of the young people. So that should not be anything we should be discussing, really. It's something that should be happening. Again, with the appointments within the Ministry of Education, we need to have people who really know what the education system is like and have a respect for it.
Right.
Yeah. As an auditor, if you place me in the Ministry of Health, I will be lost. And I will be handling things maybe from the finance point than how I should handle them when I am more conversant to the health issues. So matters concerning education, those things should not be something we are talking about at this particular century, in 2024. Those are things that former presidents made it right. So we can't be going back now to dig a hole and dump our young people in that hole when we were already beyond that point. As a country, our priorities need to be right. For example, with this housing model, and you'll forgive me for, again, going back to where I'm from, I am from Kitui County. If you're going to deduct me some money to fund housing projects, it's unfair, because what you should be even addressing on that other side is water problems. So it's about time the ruling system understands that your priorities are like this, but wananchi want this way. So they should find a way that they should align their priorities and their interests to what the citizens really want. So as I part, we are not really at death point. We are approaching it slowly. I hope we don't get to it. And I think the only way to write this thing, priorities. And we need people who can speak their mind and respect it.
Continue with the spirit of activism.
We should, and the MPs who are introducing those bills of curbing picketing, really, I want to see a time when they would want to picket, and because they introduced that bill, they can't picket again.
Like they should have a test of their own medicine, right?
They should.
Okay, SK, your parting shot in 30 seconds, tafadhali.
Thank you so much. Barack Obama says that we are the change we have been waiting for. and the time we've been waiting for is now. And therefore, young people of our country, let's turn up in big numbers. Let's mobilize vigorously to ensure that we bring the effect of change that we want to realize in this century. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That has been Miriam Mutheu. She's an auditor / youth lead as well. Auditor, speaking of auditing, Miss Gathungu has been missing kidogo. Please tuambie ameenda wapi now that you're in the same, forte. We'll come back to you after some time. But thank you so much, Miriam and SK Kajang, for your insightful, sentiments regarding these conversations on matter state of the nation. So what we're gonna do next, we are taking a very mini break. When we come back, we have asked you a question about your heroes. Could be your mom, your dad, uncle, sister, brother, or it could be yourself. The ones that you celebrated or recognized them yesterday during Mashujaa Day, of course. That's what we are delving into. And we'll be sampling your feedback with the next conversation in just a bit. At Brian Sanko11, at Y254 channel, _Pali on Instagram. See you in just a bit.
Y254. Imagine.
Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando. Komando, wambie sisi ndo vipenzi komando.
Inakuwaje? Ni kila Jumatatu kutokea saa 1:05 hadi 3:30. Na unafahamu sisi ni makomando wa Afrika Mashariki ambao tunakupa kipindi chenye mapozi. Unatazama na mapozi ya kwako. Wanasema kwamba you can call me Kenny at Tenrelby. Wagwang, my name is DJ Kuch. Pale kwenye chiki na kupatia mziki zote za East Africa, old school, new school, zote ziko ndani. You can link up at DJ Kuch. Boom.
And of course with me, Kalondi Musimi, I'll be giving you all the entertaining stories in East Africa. Nitakuwa nikuambia nani amefanya nini, kwa nini na akiwa na nini.
Hatuagizi na mabosi, sisi wenyewe mabosi. Wanatumbea mikosi, tunalindwa na sabuni peke. Kuimbie Bwana, mfalme wa mbinguni, nimbe na saburi.
Our stories shape our future. It's within them that we get to know ourselves.
God always came through in a way that we couldn't even explain. And we came to realize that putting God at the center of it is like everything else will just flow.
What do you do when push comes to shove?
He was a great man. At that moment, he was supportive. Until 6 months, we went for the first surgery.
That's why here on The Nest, we tell you these stories to empower you and shape your parenting. Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. only on Y254.
What's up, everybody? Have you heard of Bones Nation? We are the latest, most turned-up show in 254.
You know how we do each and every Tuesday, Thursday. Mad vibes, mad music. When you see this face, amazing vibes, pure niceness, mad music. Now always kumbuka wewe ndoko in full control.
I'm unavailable.
I go by the name Feeling Jean.
And I am the beat doctor, DJ Epic, straight out of Gas Chamber DJs. You know how we do.
Of course, catch us every single Tuesday and Thursday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. for mad energy, good vibes, and interviews and interactions with your favorite celebrities.
sun like a pearl upon the ocean. Come and feel me, oh feel me.
कुछ कुछ होता है क्या करूँ हाय
पीलूं है पीने का मौसम तेरे संग इश्क तारी है.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed. We are such a vibe!
Y254. Imagine.
Y254. Imagine.
Karibu sana. This is the last conversation of the day, but we've asked you a question on our social. We are asking about impact of national heroes on society today. Who are those people that you hold so dear to in your heart and in your life that you are celebrating? Still in the spirit of Mashujaa Day that was celebrated yesterday at Kwale. And of course, with our president, Mr. Honorable Ruto. He mentioned in his address about Mekatilili Wamenza and how she fought. She's a heroine, right? A female is a heroine. A male hero is a hero. So, you know, heroine almost close to, you know, drug. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. But anyways, we're asking you, who are some of those heroes that you celebrate and the impact that they've done, not just to you individually, but to the society and the community where you come from at large? That is the conversation we are delving into, and I'm sampling your feedback as we continue. I promised you I'll sample in the first conversation, but this one, I'm sampling it midway, so, but no worries, I got you. I'm being joined live in the studio by John Njuki Gashero. He's a student at Pioneer University, alongside Jack Eddie Kidera, a student at the University of Nairobi. Karibuni sana. I'm going to start off with you, John. Who are the heroes that you, maybe also judging from the event that happened yesterday at Kwale, that you would say they were really impactful and in transforming not just their life, but this entire generation at large? And then also I'd like you to also pinpoint who are the heroes that you personally adore or pay respect and homage to individually, without the fear of, you know, saying, huyu ni Gen Z ama huyu hajafanya chochote. I'd like to just speak your mindset on it. Yeah.
Okay, hello Brian.
Yeah, karibu sana.
Yeah, I'll start by first naming my hero. My hero is my family, starting with my father, my sister, and my whole family at large. They have been there supporting me all through the way up to now, current level that I am in. So I'll name them my heroes. And on the issue of yesterday, I will say that the person that I can pinpoint as a hero to this country is those who are like what's currently going on in the country, about the DP and the presidency issue. The people who are standing, like I'll just name Martha Koome, who stood with the justice and said that nothing shall happen until the constitution is followed to the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Mr. Eddie? Who are I'd say your personal heroes? He's pointed out his. I'd also like to hear your personal and then general in the country at large that you revere.
Okay, so same to him, even me, I can say that my heroes, first of all, my
My hero, okay, my biggest heroes are my family, first of all. And then it's because, like, you know, despite of everything, like, you can't leave your family behind. They will always be there for you in difficulties or when everything is good. And then when we come, now when I view my hero generally, nationally, I can say Eric Omondi.
Okay.
Yeah, funny enough, Eric Omondi is my hero nationally.
Why would you say Eric?
Okay.
Are there things that he's done that touched your heart?
Yeah, through his Sisi kwa Sisi initiative, he has actually helped many people.
Right. Okay. Still on you. When you look at what we're going through right now in the country, the issue of the Gen Zs, there's somebody who pinpointed out that, I think it was yesterday, I think she's Nerima Wako from Siasa Plus, if I'm not wrong. She said the 61 plus who are shot dead during the 25th invasion to Parliament should be named as the heroes who brought change to this generation. And now that they've not been compensated, in fact, it continues to add even more salt to the injury. Do you believe the Gen Zs who are shot dead were, we can say that they are the heroes of this generation as we speak?
Yeah, actually we can say that they are heroes because someone like Rex Masai,
right?
Yeah, he was shot when he was on the line of duty. Yeah, so even them we can put them in the place of being our heroes because they represented us. They came out, and without them, as we are talking, the finance bill would have been in place.
Right. There's one of the comments right here that says, "Hey, good morning," from Omega Orina Bernard. He says, "Hey, good morning too. Tune in from Naivasha. These heroes and heroines are passing through hardships. Most of them have no jobs. This has contributed them to be involved in misconduct and deviant acts in the society, like stealing and conning people. Really? And they have entered into groups which are of no importance, that causes them to be idle. I'd like to ask the government to assist this young generation in creating group projects and fund them or give them capital or money to do some small businesses or projects." Rina Bernard from Naivasha, #Go in the morning. Maybe he's trying to say that young people are the heroes, but the way he's calibrating his message when he says these heroes and heroines are getting into other things, maybe he's speaking about young people who are venturing into different stuff because they're not being supported. But then still on you, do you believe people like Kasmuel Makori, Morara Kebaso, Boniface Mwangi, the other lady anaitwa nani, Wanjiru, and then the likes of Kina Hanifa, can they be considered or be placed in a category of young heroes?
Okay, now, so when you talk, so for example, someone like Morara Keboso, we can't place them in the place of young heroes because actually they are in politics, and politics is a dirty game. And when we talk of heroes, we talk about people who have brought about positive impact. Let me say nationally or in our societies or something like that. But the problem with politicians, like, they always fumble with things. Today they will say this, tomorrow they say this, like they're easily bought. So me personally,
you wouldn't say they're heroes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're heroes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even most of them do come out in the picture for publicity or I don't know, popularity. Yeah.
Okay. Let me jump on to you, John. He's saying people like Kasmuel Makori can't, and even Boniface Mwangi, because they're in politics. But then as well, when you become a hero, it means you did such a heroic act, or you did such an outstanding and exceptional act that put you to a place where people can celebrate you and they recognize you for your bravery and your courage. I don't know if you look at somebody like Kasmuel and who else, Morara Kebaso, they've put their lives on the line. They're fighting against a government that has power. But then as time goes by, like he said, it's turning out to be political and whatnot. Do you believe even the heroes we have in our country right here, it's difficult to name them or separate them from politics and what they did for the people? Like, is either this sponsor is famous and they got into politics, they did something and eventually got into politics?
Yeah, I will say that that is actually the case in our country, unfortunately, because the setup has been there that you need first to be a celebrity on the eyes of the citizen, so that you can be able to advocate. So on issue on a person like Boniface Mwangi, and a person, I will pinpoint someone like Babu Owino, who also started as a very vigorous activist against the university funding model during his time at UON, in the University of Nairobi, and that's what earned him the Member of Parliament for Embakasi East. So I will say that, yeah, we cannot judge them that they are not our heroes, but it is the setup. It's the setup. And human in Kenya, human are like, we always chase our interest. First, we start with a pure interest, pure intention, just the way Morara Kibaso started. He started with a pure interest. He showcased where the government had failed, but eventually, as he continued going by, he ended up diverting from the main point.
From the main course, yeah. But then also, are there any that you can name historically that maybe you just read about them? But then yesterday the president pointed about Mekatilili Omenza, of course, Dedan Kimathi and the rest. Are there that you individually have read about them constitutionally, even in the magazines, in the newspaper, or even your family talks about them, that you'd say, probably if you had time and chance to meet them, you'd love to have a conversation and hear from them. How did they make it up to where they are? It could even be international. You know, people think a hero is just a person who is in your country, in your house. It could even be Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X, you know, or Barack Obama, but I'm asking individually, who are those that you pinpoint that you've read about that really impacted, you know, this world?
Yeah, people that I have read about and I would have loved to be with them is, or to have a chat with them, is a person like Wangari Maathai. We all know what she did about the environmental. Personally, I am an enthusiast of environmental conservation, so I would have loved to meet Wangari Maathai as my hero.
What would you ask her if you meet her?
I'll just...
You met, not if you meet, because when I say if you meet, it means you are dying and you're going to, but I know you're not dying anytime soon, God forbid, okay?
Yeah, the main question that I would have asked Wangari Maathai is the courage. How did she get the courage? We all knew what she underwent during the Moi regime as she started, and also not forget about her education background. She passed through a lot for her to be the first woman with a PhD in Kenya.
Yes.
So I would have asked that question if I could have met Wangari Maathai, unfortunately.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Internationally, I will say a person like Yusuf Malala. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner from Pakistan on matters of education. She started to advocate about the right for women in Pakistan to receive education in the. We all know that Pakistan is a Taliban area where girl child education is very much on that. So Malala, through her story, her life story that I have read, and I have had the privilege of watching her documentary, she also, like, it was not easy for her to the point that she received the Nobel Prize. She was shot at the head, because she was so much against the Taliban regime in Pakistan. So I will say that internationally I recognize Yusuf Malala as a national hero that can impact the youth of today.
I'd like to also hear, still on you, from your community, any hero that comes from your tribe. You know, they keep on saying, oh, we are not tribalistic, but every Kenyan comes from a specific, in fact, all of us have tribes. So you can't say, oh, me, I'm just a Kenyan. Yeah, you're a Kenyan, but you're Kikuyu, you're Luya, you're Luo, you're Kisi. But I'd like to hear, pick up from your community, historically wise, have you read about any hero? Or also maybe it could even be in your neighborhood, because hero si lazima tu kwa mtu alikuwa before independence or even during, you know, the work of fighting for independence. It could be somebody from, even it could be a watchman behind here, but they did such a heroic act of bravery that even it deserves to be recognized, but then it has not, but they're still a hero. So I'd like to hear from your community and just your history kidogo, where you come from, any that you've heard and stories, even from your dad, your mom, neighbors, etc.
Yeah, privilegedly, I'm from the Murima community. I'm from Mount Kenya region. And just to name some of our heroes who have impacted not only today or what we do in Mount Kenya region, or I don't want to be tribalistic, but Kenya as a whole, I will name a person like Dedan Kimathi and person like Kenneth Matiba and J.M. Kariuki. These people died on the line of duty. We all know about what Kenneth Matiba went when he was fighting for the constitution of Kenya, when he was fighting for the multi-party system in Kenya. So I will say that these people did not only impacted the people of Mount Kenya, but eventually they ended up impacting the whole country as a whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you said Murima. I remembered yesterday on the deputy president, before I come to you shortly, the president said yesterday, oh, they wanted to take him the Matiba route, and I think it's interesting you mentioned that. From your experience, any heroes in your community historically that impacted your community and what they did?
Okay, me, I'm from Nyanza. Yeah. So from my experience, yeah, and as me, from my experience, like I can say we have got so many heroes from our community. Somebody like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga.
Right.
Yeah, he fought for Nini. He fought for the independence of our country, which we are now enjoying. Yeah, so he's also a hero because he went through a lot for us to attain the independence. Yeah, and we appreciate them a lot. Yeah.
What about Raila Odinga?
Raila Odinga is also a hero.
Why would you call him a hero?
Because even him, like, we have seen much from him. Yeah. He has fought in different segments. The democracy that we are enjoying now, he fought for. Yeah. And he went through a lot. And as we all know, is Nini. How can I put it?
Is it his track record, his grit, his passion, or his unshakable confidence and, you know, fight of not giving up?
Yeah, now his unshakable confidence and fight of not giving up.
Okay.
Because even now he's very old and he's still there.
Contesting for the AUC.
Yeah, contesting for the AUC, and I know that even if now anything may come up pertaining the country that it's not good, he will stand with us and he will talk out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I want us to shift this conversation to some of the people that you see as heroes, and maybe they need to be recognized. They must be recognized, maybe because there's something they've done. This could include that has transformed even a life of an individual or the community at large, but then they're not being recognized. Ama watu hawajui kama umsee anafanyanga vitu mingi huku nyuma, lakini hakuna msee, hata hakuna newspaper shaandika hii story, hakuna watu wa media kujua wakamulika, but umsee amefanya vitu mingi. I'd like you to talk about from your experience and the people you know. It could even be as close as a friend. Now that you've talked about, you know, your community at large, I want you to delve into now the personal things that you've learned and picked here.
Okay, so personal things that I have learned and picked from different heroes. Then let me just say it nationally. So somebody like Eliud Kipchoge.
Right.
Yeah, when you go to his community, I'm sure that he has managed to launch so many projects. Yeah, like schools. I have heard of a school known as Eliud Kipchoge Primary School. Things like those, which have came out of his heroic nini. Out of the marathons that he have ran and come out of them as the winner.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, generally I can talk about him because now even apart from the apart from the school, I'm sure that bado kuna vitu zenye amefanya mingi kwa community yake. Yeah. But now, you know, those things have not been documented.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We like Kenya, we are seeing the negative part. We are not considering the positive part. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, John? Are there people in your circle, or generally, Lamesema Eliud Kipchoge, but I specifically like the people maybe you've interacted with closely, leave alone the national ones in general, all the people that are doing things behind the scenes, but they're not, you know, being recognized for it. Eliud Kipchoge, I think he's syndicated. He's been recognized a lot. In fact, I think he has a statue for him. He's naturally a hero. But I like the people that have not been heard, that you know maybe. It could even be a friend. Like there's one of my lady friends. She there's this Senator Naito Glory Robo. She has this initiative of Girls and Pads. But for her, she partnered with a community in Kibra where they're using, I think it's interesting, I think they're using banana peels to, I don't know, they're taking it through a process of recycling and then cleaning, and then they crush it and then they take it to a refinement process, and then there's a process it's scientific, I don't exactly remember, but I found it to be very interesting. They're using that to create pads for girls in the interior, but trust me, nobody has shined the light on that story, and I think it's so interesting because the other day the finance bill was literally taxing people to pay, you know, pads. In fact, that's part of the thing that fueled anger from even influencers and everybody else, and people are not talking about her. So I'd like you to also take us to the journey of the people in your circle that you've noticed who are doing tremendous things that are impacting people, but they've not been talked about. Case in point and scenarios.
Yeah, the type of people on my circle who have impacted the community, but they have not been recognized. I will name, first of all, I started by saying that I am an environmental enthusiast. Nice. So I belong to an organization called Takakazi Africa. Right. And our CEO, our manager is Right Honorable George Abunja. Yeah, the guy, I would have loved that person if he could have been acknowledged Kenyan-wise, because that person, the guy has taken us from a scratch. He has taught us about everything to do about the environment, what we need, what is there in the future. That nowadays we are fighting about issues to do with global warming, right. But are we doing it on the right way? Now this guy has impacted us to create new awareness, to create it has always been issue about cleaning the rivers, collecting plastic material and recycling, but
even at the ocean, in fact,
even at the ocean,
there's a beach cleaning exercise that was happening in Mombasa.
Yeah. No, the guy has taught us that we should not first wait for that to happen. Before that plastic bottle has been disposed into that wasteful area or to the street, we must first come up with a policy as youth and us as Kenyans. We should not wait and say that the government should, it is the work of currently now in Nairobi say that it's the work of Kanjo, the city council of Nairobi, to come and clean. It is their duty. Why am I paying tax? It should be among us, just coming from you, that I'm carrying a plastic bottle. Why should I put this plastic bottle as a patriotic Kenya? Yeah, so
even when you're sitting in the matatu, it's easier for you kumaliza drinking your Minute Maid ama your bottle of water, and it's moving. So you're like, wacha yanguke na upepo yanguke nayo, but you're destroying property.
Yeah, no,
You're destroying environment rather.
Yeah, the main question we should ask yourself, if I do this, how will it impact the world and where we are moving on to towards a sustainable environment where the future of our future and the future of maybe our children in the coming years will be safe.
Right.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So you said he's a gentleman or she's a lady?
He's a
or
gentleman.
It's a group of youth?
He's a gentleman, but we are a group of youth, Takakazi African Organization.
Oh, it's called Takakazi Africa
Organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you based?
We are based at, it's UN.
At the United Nations?
United Nations, but currently we don't have an office, we operate online.
Oh, virtually.
Virtually.
Wow, that's impressive, because right now, Pia, a lot of people are not looking at time, you're going to office. If we can have a whole meeting online and we deliberate and delegate, we can just be acting. But then I love it because here as well, we've interviewed a lot of people who are doing what you've done. In fact, I think it's last week, Stephanie had a conversation here on the same thing about climate change and sustainability. And the other day, is it COP28 or COP29? Tumefika COP29? 29? I'm a COP20.
It was COP28.
Or COP28 that happened. Was it in Dubai? There was the one before Dubai went into, a mess. But then I also like you to talk about as well some of the initiatives that young people are championing that are advocating for change. Also, similar to what he's pointed out, that you would say, hey, I know these people, or I'm part of the initiative, and we are really changing lives. And I think we are heroes. We are heroes in our own kind of way, or heroines in our own kind of way.
Okay, so there are different initiatives that young people are currently engaging in that we can mark them as heroes. For example, this group from Kibra, me personally, I am not in any initiative, but there's this group from Kibra that I've been following them so much. Yeah, they do recycle these plastic bottles. They use them in making things like tables, chairs, like just those decorative things. Yeah, so I guess even them I can mark them as heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What about in the creative aspect right here in Kenya? Yesterday we saw the Prezo Angukai Nayo with the Douglas. Of course, the Anguka Nayo track it became an anthem during the protest, and I think it's still today, it's still being referred to as an anthem for change, in as much as it's talking about something else kidogo, but just that theme and even the dance moves and everything, it has become a national syndication and anthem for change. I want you to talk about creativity in aspect of music. It could be an aspect of even performing art. It could even be somebody who's on TV doing something and you feel like, what this person is doing, by the way, is creating change. They are a hero in their own environment, but you know what? We are not talking about them as much as we are talking about things. Who is KRG the Don? Tafadhali. I don't want to mention that. But anyway, somebody here last week alikuwa anasema anyways, we'll get to that. But yeah, I want you to talk about that at large. Yeah.
Okay, so when we go to the entertainment industry, we have got so many young talents which are not being recognized. So, for example, there's this guy like Stupid Boy. Stupid Boy, like this guy that sang Jibag na Jag. Yeah, that guy, he have got talent. But now the problem is that it's very difficult for people to accept him, acceptance. Yeah, like we are concentrating with people who are already in the top instead of considering these upcoming young talents. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but even him is an inspiration. He's an inspiration. Like I can name him as a hero too. Junini hiyo his song venye ilikuwa like venye alitoa, it was a hit. Yeah, it's only that we as Nini, we don't consider these upcoming artists now our young talents. We only consider those people who are already there. So like someone like OG. Yeah, OG akitoa wimbo sahi, hiyo itatrend milele na milele.
But then hopefully maybe it should be a track that is inspiring change, like Anguka Nayo, Anguka Nayo is inspiring change because it was like atoke ama oanguke. It was even picked up by even Hollywood stars and celebrities. They were even doing, you know, their media briefings. So let me come to you. Comedy-wise, I believe Kenna and Eric Omondi, you know, they're really doing a lot here. In fact, Eric Omondi has put his life on the line. In fact, I was watching one of the interviews where he was saying, kama mgongo yake anaweza enda surgery, like amevunjika mara mingi sana, like kupigwa, kushika, kuangushwa, yeah. So I want you to talk about as well comedy at large, anyone that you feel is creating impact, and when they do something, it's inspirational or it's telling a story of what exactly is happening in the country. And I think Kenna is good at it. Crazy Kenna.
Yeah. I agree that there are some content creators on the media platform who are doing a wonderful job towards educating Kenyans, the civil Kenyans, about what is really happening on the ground. And just as you have mentioned, somebody like Crazy Kenna, whatever that, whenever a government does something contrary, they are quick to pounce. Somebody like Njugush, quick to pounce that, yeah, the government is saying this, like during the time that President William Ruto break his cabinet team, and then he ended up choosing a new team. Njugush did a video which showcased that whatever that President Ruto did, it was like a game whereby you are choosing an orange, like he was pointing at, you are taking a good orange, replacing it with something that has feathered away. So he was like trying to convey a message to the people that yes, President Ruto has replaced his cabinet secretary, but on top of that, the cabinet secretary that he has put on place, it is not like different to the one that it was there. So he was trying to make the youth understand, not the youth, but all the whole people of Kenya to understand that there is a need for change. Even if the cabinet minister has been, the executive has been appointed newly, we have a long way to go as a country, so that we can ensure that there is matters of integrity, there is matters of transparency and qualification. I, as a university comrade, I want that when I graduate, I will be able to merit on those high seats because of my education level. But if you end up pointing at someone who academically is not qualified, then it raises a concern.
Wow, interesting remarks. It has reminded me of Giuliani. He sang this song, Nikonza Nasies. Like it has become a theme song for injustices that happen in the country. There's another, I think it was a poem written by King Kaka, yeah?
King Kaka,
it's called Wajinga Nyinyi. I don't know if you remember.
About Waiguru.
Yeah, it's about
Waiguru. He was pointing about the NYS deal or Waiguru.
Oh yes, oh my goodness, I was not even recalling that one. But you can see these people have had transformational, in short, transformative creative dynamics that are even shifting the way people think. You would hear that song in a season like this, and you know it's speaking to, you know, what's currently going on in the country. So, you know, but then now let's switch to modern day ones. Wale young people, I'd love us to also talk about Gen Zs. Wale Gen Zs wadogo wenye, like, ukiangalia mse, hata inaweza kuwa hata maybe ni mtu anamfollow social media. Ukiangalia unaona mse chenye mse huwa anafanya yenyewe. I see him becoming a big person someday. Because hero haimaanishi tu like ulisave watu, sijui ndege ilikuwa inaenda kuanguka kaishikilia, you know, ukasave dunia yote. Yeah, it could be someone who is even, you know, inspiring people by the way they, you know, they do content on social media. Si lazima kuwa famous. I want the ones you know as well in your circle. But it could be someone you follow on social media, but then they're doing something. They could even be talking about, you know, topics that HIV. I love the fact that you pointed individually as well. But then, Pia, I want you yourself, what are you doing to champion for change that you feel if you are given 5 to 10 years, you are probably becoming a hero, because being a hero your odds should not determine anything.
I'll go back to what I'd said earlier, that I am an environmental enthusiast, and everything I do, even in my social media platform, if you follow me, John Juki, a John B, you will find out that everything I do on my Instagram, on my TikTok account, it's all about issues to do with the environment. So on the near future, how am I foreseeing it is that I'll be able to, a young person from a kindergarten school or maybe a primary school will see me and then say like, yeah, this guy did it. He did it from a humble background. He started with this, and then up to now he's there. And to mention someone who has done, is already there where I'm aiming on. Yeah. Okay. In the near future, I will say person like KOT OCS is a very influential tweet on Twitter, who started by just naming the impunity that's there in our country and the parliament at large, about how the MPs, the Senate talk, and then whatever they are talking is not for the benefit of. He started from a humble background, but now if you see his followers, is very influential. Now if you tweet in just like maybe 5 minutes, you already have like 50,000 viewers. Wow. So yeah, I'll name them. Also my friends. I also have a group of friends whom we hang out with. They are also environmental enthusiasts, and yeah, they are also impacting the world in one way or another, in their own various field.
That's impressive. Jack, as well, I want you to point out similar to what your friend Jonas pointed out in your circle.
Okay, so me personally, as much as I am an introvert, but if given the chance, I will come out to bring the heroic aspect out of me, in a way that I do love politics. Yeah. So maybe I can just come out as an activist and pinpoint bad things that the government is not doing right. Yeah.
Anyone that you know who is advocating for anything in your circle that you follow on social media?
Babu Owino, as much as he is in power, he's always there to say when something is bad, it's bad.
Who else?
Babu Owino, Murara Kibuso, even though.
Okay, and to add on something about people who are doing something, and fortunately I know a person from Kibera. She is called Elizabeth Kideka. There was an issue during the Maandamano Gen Z that people were missing, people were being abducted, people were being tortured. Yeah, it is still going on. The lady, she has been very vocal. We have seen her much on TV, trying to hold the necessary ministry, the ministry of the CI department, and also being vocal to condemn the atrocity that the government is inflicting on the youth of today. She has been very vocal. She's called Elizabeth Kideka, and she's from Kibra. I also like to shout at her.
Yes, I'll find her way here.
Yeah.
We'll interview her at some point. I think we have a program called Heroes something, where we feature heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens right here. I'd love us to also shift to change, because the previous guest here, Barack Obama, once said, "We are the change that we have been waiting for," or "You are the change that you want to see." And I want you to talk about how can young people be put themselves in a situation or in a place or on the road to change, because there are so many obstacles that young people are facing, especially in Kenya right now, leave alone just the university aspect. University, I believe that at least if you made it to a higher learning institution, I believe you are successful, because it takes a lot to beat obscurity, poverty down here, financial issues, so cultural, home, family. Before we rise up, hadi ufike place ya college, hapo uko sure utakuwa successful. Hiyo nayo si uongo. So I want you to talk about some of the issues that young people can address in terms of now creating social change, that eventually, bro, once you create social change, you automatically become a hero in your own kind of way, in as much as you're not nationally syndicated, but at least in your various ways. So how can young people, put themselves in that space?
Okay, so, we are in a century that social media it's something that is very common with everybody. Yeah, so for us to have change as young people, or to see change, we need to start talking out and come out in numbers if there is need of. Yeah, because for example, as per now, let me use an example like now the Elbor shift. Let me use an example of the Elbor shift thing. So something like that. So it's upon us as comrades to come out and talk about it. If everybody is fearing to talk about it, then who will talk for us? Nobody.
Right.
Yeah, we will be waiting. We will just be saying, we will just be complaining to our leaders that, yo, we haven't received it. There is this problem.
Okay.
And the leaders are going to represent us in offices of which even we don't know. Yeah, we are just seeing pictures that, today I was here, I talked with I don't know, the cabinet secretary, the CS in charge of education, and he said this, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
No, that's not enough. If we want change, it's upon us to come out and talk. And like, we just need to come out. It's high time we talk for ourselves. Even as much as the leaders are representing us, sometimes as a leader, your constituents, or those whom you are leading, can have a problem and tell you so that you can go and represent them or pass the message somewhere. But you talking about the problem to maybe your boss or people that it may concern, it won't be enough at some point. At some point, those people, they're supposed to talk for themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So lastly, how can young people put themselves in a place where they can be part of advocating for change?
Yeah, on that, I will say about issues to do with drug. Drug is a major concern among the youth of today, not only in the university level, but also at the streets. So I would love if youth and comrades themselves come up with initiative to help each other, like the way Eric Omondi came up with Sisi kwa Sisi. We say that it takes one to bring a change. In a famous quote by Malala, say that you cannot wait for someone to write down what is there for you to change. It is you to take a pen and a paper, write, and also to have a rubber, so that you can erase something that has been done and it is being carried out, but it's not being carried out effectively. Right. So you are there to rub the mistakes that are there. Yes, we are told that there are organizations that have been formed to fight youth who are engaging on drug addiction, but we can see that our youth are still suffering from this quagmire of drug abuse. Yeah, so I will say that it will take us, it takes an individual and it takes us as youth kuja sisi kwa sisi tuseme enyewe penye imefika, si hatutangojea serikali tusaidie, hatutangojea nakada ikuje tusaidie. It is has to bring change. It is has to bring a mentorship program. We come up, you be a watchdog to your fellow friend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great insights. Do you have social media?
Yeah.
Just Moje, the one you're active on. So
yeah, I have a social media.
Which one? Say it very fast in 3 seconds.
Yeah, you can follow me on TikTok, Viva Magnet or Mtarazi. Yeah, also on IG, I'm there, John B.
How about you?
Yeah, I don't have any social media account.
All right, okay. So, but thank you both for sharing your insights. It's been great engaging with you guys. Karibuni sana.
Yeah.
Karibu. All right, we also say karibu. And thank you for watching us from exactly 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Tomorrow we'll be back right here with my co-stars Brighton Ali at Brian Sako101 on my socials, Y244_ everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Mashujaa Day. See you tomorrow.